Two screens, two different views. That's what we're all about. Welcome to Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
This is Shane R. Monroe.
And this is Chris Henschel.
And welcome to another episode of Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good. Yes, it's been a while, Chris. I feel like we haven't recorded a show in like a month.
Well, it's probably because it has been about a month.
Well, that answers that question. Yeah, it feels like we've been out of the loop for so long, so much to talk about.
But in actuality, there hasn't been a whole lot going on. I mean, I've still been keeping up with the news here, and there's nothing really drop dead exciting going on right now.
Yeah, summer's always slow for software. Traditionally, it has been, and I guess the DS is no exception. We had a pretty slow July, and looks like a fairly slow September coming up, but we had some decent stuff come out in June.
You mean August?
Yeah, what did I say? September?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because September is actually looking to be pretty hot.
Yeah, September's looking to be sweet. We got just so much crap to cover all the same, because that's what you don't pay us for, is to bring you entertaining content, even when there is no content. So, anyway, this episode we're going to look at our editorial. We're going to talk about Japanese penetration of the DS, and I know you sick bastards out there are already snickering under your breath. With things like the man sack and the male sack and everything else, Japanese penetration is just a natural extension.
The DS is just penetrating Japan with its insanity.
It's insanity. So we're going to tell you why you should care, because we hear a lot of that. Well, who cares how big it is in Japan? We're in America. Well, we're going to tell you why and exactly how deeply penetrated the DS is in the Japanese market. We're also going to review, we're going to take a deviation. We're going to see how this works. Now, you know that we're kind of against talking about grayware stuff, things that might let you do piracy and gray stuff, but the SuperCard Lite just came out, and I think it's important enough that we need to take a quick review of it and let you guys know exactly what it is and why you should be interested in it.
Well, that's mainly because, we know there's a lot of listeners who really appreciate some of the homebrew stuff.
Yeah.
And, a couple of the things we're going to be talking about later on in our news section, just to update a little bit, like the, it's called BUP?
BUP, yes.
Which is the MSN, Microsoft IM. And it works fantastically. I was really impressed. The whole UI and everything. So, that's something that you can run on this, so I think it's worthwhile to discuss.
There's a lot of good homebrew coming, and a lot of people have asked, how do I do it? We're not going to necessarily teach you how to do it, but we're going to tell you what tools you need and, give you an idea. We have our regular coming attractions, what's out now that might be worth your cash. Also, our regular touch and go section, which amazingly grew pretty well, considering there hasn't been much information. Our regular mail sack column, where we're going to read one of your letters, your emails right here on the show, and we're going to give you some updates as what's happening on the website, what's in the future, and all that good stuff. Plus, of course, I've got a news story. I had a great little story that happened while I was on vacation this last weekend, and I can't wait to share. Even Chris doesn't know about it, so he's on the edge of his seat.
I've told him, I've requested, please don't tell me. I want to be right there, right in front of everybody else, and just hear it right from the bat. I don't want to rehear the same story. I want to be there as everybody else hears it and be shocked and stimulated at the amazing story time.
The amazing story that I don't know how I managed to come up with this stuff. They just find me. But so anyway, that's kind of the show in a nutshell. And hopefully you'll enjoy. We know it's been a while. We do apologize. Life has been incredibly hectic. I've still got another couple of weeks of hectic life. I think Chris has pretty much settled into the new apartment over there.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So I think
a nice fatty TV.
Well, I saw yours and I had to go for one.
Yeah, I know. It's penis envy, to be honest with you. I know like 5 other people that go, I'm going to have to get a big TV now. And it's like, dude, I had to sell my soul to get that television. But
hey, it was the wife's idea, man. I ain't arguing.
See, that's the best way. If you can make it your wife's idea for stuff that you want, that's how you really move ahead in life. Those of you who are single, teenagers, that's a good lesson to learn ahead of time. Make it sound like your wife's idea, and you will go far. It's kind of like the Jedi mind trick, only not.
Republic credits? No credits are no good.
No Republic credits, only money, yeah. Anyway.
Something more real.
Yeah, well, you think you're Jedi waving your hand like that? This is not the Star Wars impression show, although, every now and then we have to bust out into it. Eventually I'll do my Christopher Lloyd Klingon from Star Trek 3, and then you're all screwed. What? Anyway, no.
Marty!
Marty! No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hold off. Let's talk for a minute about the penetration of the DS in Japan. Now, Chris, you've got some amazing numbers to throw at us. I'm still beside myself with how well the DS is doing in Japan. Why don't you throw some numbers at the good people?
Yeah, the current listing here goes to the point that it looks like the DS is currently at about, 4 games that are currently over the 1 million mark. I mean, it's insane considering just within its first year of, being distributed, So we've got, I think, Tamagotchi, which I can't explain it either. Obviously, the Tamagotchi fad has come back in Japan. That's more penetration right there.
That's a lot of penetration.
It's been dead here, but I don't know where it came from. The one that we got, it was the same game that we got here. The Tamagotchi, I think it was Corner Store, something like that.
Yeah, Corner Shop, I think, yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm not really big on top of what's going on in the world of Tamagotchi, so I apologize.
Yeah.
The Brain Age, Brain Training, that's over the 2 million mark in Japan. New Super Mario Brothers, which has been out for 2 months or so? I mean, we got it about the same time roughly as Japan did. Actually, I think we got it first. That game has now hit about 2.5 million in just 2 months. And then finally, just this week, and it was one of our news items, Animal Crossing has passed 3 million in Japan alone.
That's insane.
Insanity.
That's insane.
And from last that I can read, Japan alone is up to about 10 million DSs just in Japan alone.
Yeah.
So
is that insane? That is insane. 10 million.
Crazy numbers.
10 million. And I was reading that, and this is crazy, the entire country of Japan, if you were to do the numbers, 10% of all Japanese people in Japan have a DS. 10% penetration.
Insane.
That's insane. I mean, we were talking about the casual gamer and how Nintendo's going after the non-core gamer market, and it's working. I mean, it's so funny that people were like, oh, the PSP is going to slaughter the DS, and the DS isn't going to go anywhere, and
the tides have turned.
That's insane. Nintendo has returned.
Yes, and then on top of the fact that the Wii will be coming out at the end of the year, it's only a matter of where is it going to go from there.
Did you know what I found out at GameStop, speaking of the Wii? Not that we're going to cover a lot of Wii here on the show, folks. We are strictly Nintendo DS. But I found out that they actually released a number to GameStop. And again, take this with a grain of salt because I've been challenged before on my GameStop information. $199 retail.
Wow.
Yep. I said, so do you guys have a firm retail price? He said, yep, $199.
Plus, if I'm not mistaken, that includes... that little tennis, golf, baseball package? I believe?
He didn't have any information on that. I asked him, I said, was there going to be anything bundled with it? And he said no. Not that he knew of. But he also said, and again, GameStop information here, but he also said that Super Mario Galaxy is not going to be a launch title.
Amazing.
Yeah, so.
Well, they'll have Zelda in there, so
they'll have Zelda.
I'm sure that's going to appease people, yeah.
Zelda will be out. Red Steel's going to be out, so it's going to be cool.
Well, we don't know what's going on with the Wii. We're still concentrating on the DS, so
yeah. I just catch a little Wii news here and there. I heard that Lucas Arts is officially committed to the Wii now, and that they're talking about a lightsaber dueling game with the Wii controller. And I'll tell you, that'll sell 10 million freaking Wiis, man.
I think we've all been waiting for a game that's basically putting you in control of the lightsaber, hands-on.
I'm dying. Anyway, back to Japanese penetration. Now, we talk a lot about this on our forums, which you can find by going to www.dualscreenradio.com, because apparently we don't mention the site enough in our show. So we're going to be mentioning www.dualscreenradio.com throughout the show.
Yes, we've had some complaints that we don't actually mention the show's email, or not email, what am I saying? Website address often enough. So
yeah, what we ought to do is between every 7 words, we'll just have a button that we can hit on the keyboard that just says the name, so we don't have to keep saying it.
DualScreenRadio.com.
Yeah, www.dualscreenradio.com. Anyway, on our forum, we talk a lot about, how well the DS is doing in Japan, and now, of course, it's doing well in the United States, being many million units ahead of the PSP. And people continue, for some reason, to challenge the concept that, well, who cares if it's big in Japan? I live in America, so I don't care. And
well, you should care.
You should care. Chris, tell them why they should care.
Well, this is just my theory, but I think it holds up pretty well. Looking at the software on the DS right now, especially the mainstream, popular, titles that everybody seems to want to jump in and grab and buy: Brain Age, New Super Mario Brothers, Animal Crossing, Advance Wars, Metroid Prime Pinball, Metroid Prime Hunters, Nintendogs. These are all games. Well, obviously they've been made by Nintendo. But even when you throw in a lot of the third-party stuff like Namco Bandai or Konami, Lost in Blue, Traumacenter, Atlas, these are all Japanese companies.
That's right.
Phoenix Wright is Capcom. These games have all come out of Japan. These are games that, if the system was not popular enough in Japan, may have not even been made. So those games are coming over here. What kind of games are you getting from the American companies so far? EA, putting out trash like Marvel, Rise of the Imperfects.
There's your United States software representative right there.
The great company Ignition Entertainment, who is responsible for, of course, Elf Bowling. So, I would say, the popularity in Japan for the system is incredible. I mean, you could even argue the fact that look how widespread and popular and diverse the library is for something like the PlayStation 2 versus the Xbox, which is an American game system, which is actually isn't it like the first? Well, I guess Atari had the Jaguar, but it's been one of the few American-made systems since the Atari 2600 or the Coleco. So, these games that are coming from Japan are just fueling what's going to come over here. Look at the PS2. Pretty much I'd say 80% of the software is from Japan. The PS2 is doing insanely popular over there. The GameCube has been kind of fizzling over there. It's fizzling in America. It all translates over here. The only system right now that's a total difference is the PSP. And I think that's because a lot of America's got a different mindset, I think, in terms of how these portables work compared to the Japanese. Americans like the fact that you can watch. They want something else. They want more value for their money. They want a system like the PSP that can watch these movies or browse the internet, right out of the box. They think it's fantastic. And they're buying this system. And I don't know how many times I've heard, wow, look at this, man. Look at Spider-Man 2 on my PSP. And it's like, okay, great. It's really nice. But, that's not why I would have bought the system. I wanted to buy the system to play the games.
Yeah.
And, in Japan, the games just seem to be clicking with the Japanese public like they are with the DS, which a lot of the companies early on, we got a lot of games right out of the gate for the DS that you could easily say that can be done on the GBA. That could be that's a Game Boy looking game. There's nothing special going on here. Case in point, something like Star Wars Episode 3, which is basically a straight port from the GBA, but they added in the amazing 3D dogfights, whatever. And I think a lot of these companies were expecting the DS to fail at the beginning, and have now realized that, hey, we better start pumping out some games on the DS because it looks like it's taking off.
Yeah, so Nintendo's using their DS Lite to print money. You've seen the video.
Yeah.
So now everyone's like, oh, maybe Nintendo had it right. Let's start supporting Nintendo.
You will say, wow.
Yeah. So you see all sorts of new developers hopping on board the DS and the Wii.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what's going on with the Wii so much. There's a lot. The Wii is still really quiet.
Yeah.
You're not really hearing a whole lot just yet. And I still think it's kind of early. I think it's kind of crazy. I would think they would want to be, getting this thing pumped up a little bit. Now that we're in August, and I think the thing's going to be coming out in November. And it might even be the end of October, I heard. There's a rumor going around maybe even closer to October at this point. So I guess we'll find out. But all I know is right now they just released the pink DS in Japan, and already the sales just went up through the roof. It's to the point where they still can't keep the thing in stock. People are still having a hard time finding the thing in stock in Japan. And and it's not just kids. It's not just teenagers or early 20 guys. It's people of all sexes and just.
How many sexes are there, Chris?
Yeah, both male and female, and old and young are really getting involved in this system.
Absolutely true. They had in Nintendo Power this month, they had a Touch Generations flyer stuffed in there. Mm-hmm. And hey, guess who resurfaced? That cute little blonde that was in all the Wii ads. She's into the new Touch Generation campaign. If you happen to know who this person is, let us know. Just drop us a line, because I'd like to have a name to put to the face. But I thought it was kind of interesting. They're really pushing this whole non-gamer thing. And as you read through the literature, it's like, gamers, we want you back. And they address this exact same things. This is so funny. I swear Nintendo listens to our show and reads our forums. But it was the exact same things we were saying. Like, they're courting the non-gamer. Okay, that's no big surprise. But they're also going after the gamers that left,
That grew up.
Or that simply lost touch with video gaming because it got too complicated. Nolan Bushnell, the guy that invented Chuck E. Cheese, for crying out loud, which was the pinnacle arcade center, of the 80s. He went on record in the early 80s, saying that we had 40 million game players, and we've dropped down to 15 million, hardcore gamers. And he said, we've lost a lot of our soldiers here. And why is that? Well, people don't want to play with 12 buttons. They don't want to play with 17 button hit combos in these realistic 3D environments that take hours to learn and even longer to master. They just want to pick something up, damn it, and play for a few minutes between appointments or while they're sitting on the can or whatever. And I think that Nintendo's really made a smart move by courting those guys. And I think the Japanese people, who are even in more of a hurry than we are, their lives are even more hectic than most of the American lives. They need that. They don't have time to wait 6.5 minutes for WWE wrestling to load,
Right. Or, even in that respect, a lot of the people who are playing the Atari 2600, or the people who are going to arcades to play something like Space Invaders or Pac-Man, games that only required a joystick and one button, unless you're dealing with something like Defender. But
yeah,
a lot of these classic games were so simplistic to just pick up and play. And I think what happened is a lot of those people at the time who were maybe teenagers, 12, 15, 16, 18, they've obviously grown up now. They're in the workforce. They're 30s, 40s, and then in their 50s. And those same people want to have that same kind of experience. And I think that's why a lot of this system is really touching a lot of different people, rather than something like an Xbox or a PlayStation 2 would, with the 2 analog sticks, the D-pad, the 4 shoulder buttons, the 4 controller buttons, and I think it's just easier for the people to kind of come back and say, wow, this is something I can just pick up and play, like you said. And I think that's where a lot of those people went. I think that's why Nintendo's, they're starting to get the attention of those people again.
And I think the Japanese culture, with their fast-paced lifestyle, are more representative of the mass-market gaming potential than America is. I mean, Americans, we seem to have very separate niche audiences, where Japan seems to have a greater representation of the young, the old, the male, the female, the busy, the not busy, the kids, whatever.
And they'll also all focus on their one particular favorite at the time.
Right.
For how many years was it that Nintendo was the golden boy of Japan?
Right.
But then all of a sudden, in the mid 90s, 95, 96, the Sony came in with the PlayStation and knocked them down, and that's where we've been ever since. And now all of a sudden with the DS, it's almost like we're getting PlayStation 2 kind of numbers. And the thing is, the system hasn't even been around as long. I mean, it's churning out numbers that have probably been in terms of maybe the 3rd or 4th year of the PlayStation 2. We're starting to see numbers that we saw back in the 80s with the old Famicom that Nintendo put out, or the Nintendo Entertainment System for Americans or the UK. And that's what we're seeing again here. So it's really scary to think maybe we're seeing a turn of events, which, for me is fine, because I think one thing that's really driving me crazy about gaming right now, the thing that drives me crazy currently about a lot of these systems, and people seem to be losing the fact with this, everybody's so focused on high definition, or ratios, aspect ratios, or how many pixels, and the actual portrayal of the game rather than the game itself. You know, everything's getting so technical now. You know, oh, this game sucks. It doesn't have so many polygons. Or, you know, this game sucks. It doesn't have depth of field or, you know, something. And I'm just, you know, let's focus on the game itself. I mean, if the game looks great, that's one thing. I mean, some of these new games are coming out are looking fantastic. Like, look at the new Metal Gear. It's amazing. You know, but the requirements to play it are starting to get a little insane. And it's not bringing anybody back to the real world.
Yeah, they're catering, they're preaching to the choir. They've got their 15 million gamer install base, and they're not recruiting. You know, it's just like the armed forces. You know, there's people retiring. You got to fill the billets, and the Xboxes, the PS3s, they're not filling the billets.
Well, I just think something's going to blow. You know, something's going to break to the point where people are going to be sick of it, just much like the crash in the 80s.
Yeah, but look at it this way.
Everything's being Hollywood. You know, everybody Hollywoodized. You know,
what's really funny is with Nintendo, with the DS. And with the Wii, maybe, they may be already saving us from a crash and as we're watching. You know, as the numbers dwindle out of the Xbox game or the PS3 game or whatever, those numbers dwindle out for whatever reason because no one wants to pay $600 for a console, for example. Those numbers aren't defecting. They're just moving to a different state. They're moving over to the Wii. They're moving over to the DS. So we're not losing the sort of numbers that I was starting to expect. You know, just even a few years ago, I would have put money down that we were looking for a crash, a software crash, a gaming crash. But looking at even what developers are saying, you know, Ubisoft has an article in this month's Nintendo Power about the new Rayman game for the Wii. And they're like, yeah, you know, graphically, the polygons counts were great. You know, they didn't make us laugh, they didn't make us cry, but we had enough that we could actually focus on making the game fun. You know, it's not like we were worried that we weren't going to be able to make it pleasing enough for people to play visually. That part was covered. Now we can concentrate on making a fun game. And it does my heart good to hear developers actually saying things like that. You know, you hear the developers crying about the cost of doing business, the cost of making games, and now they're going to be afforded a methodology where they can actually innovate. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But those of you who are skeptical about watching the Japanese market, you got to understand, our gaming industry was saved by Nintendo in the early 80s. We had a complete crash. Now, however you want to attribute that crash, the only people that brought it back was Nintendo after a very successful run with the Famicom in Japan.
Well, what was funny is back in, you know, when they were marketing, they're trying to sell the Nintendo concept, their system as a concept before they ran and published it themselves. When they were showing that system off, you know, I think they actually first had it at the big toy. They have this big toy convention show. It's kind of like an E3 for toys in New York. And I believe that was, if I'm not mistaken, the first time they showed it off. They tried the hardest to not make this look like a video game system, which is one of the reasons it came with Rob, the Rob robot, and ROB, Robotic Operating Buddy. They threw him in there to make it look like the system was a toy. That was his whole purpose. That's probably why the games didn't really come out for it for that particular peripheral when the thing was selling like hotcakes now, because they finally said, okay, we don't need to sell this off as a toy necessarily now. People have gotten the idea that it's a game system, but on one hand, that's fine because they're buying it. You know, at the time, they were so scared to market this as a video game system because of what had happened with Atari, you know, and the whole crash, because they didn't want to hear, oh, great, another video game system. Gee, how long is that going to last? Or that's not going to work, you know? So they decided, let's sell this as a toy. We'll fool them enough. They'll fool the consumer enough to get it in their house before they say, wait a minute, this works just like an Atari. It uses cartridges. But then again, you got this robot and you got this zapper gun. And that was one of the big benefits, I think, of getting things going. You know, they managed to bring it home again, the gaming system. Because from that point, what else was Nintendo up against? I mean, Sega kind of jumped into the market, you know, with the Master System, and they pretty much aped what Nintendo did. You know, they had They had the light gun, and they just didn't have the games to really push through enough. Nintendo just had everything, belted up. And that's one of the funny things. I mean, everybody could argue that the Master System had the better graphics and
certainly had great arcade ports.
Exactly, and dare say the arcade backing to really pull this system off. But Nintendo still came through. I mean, Nintendo wasn't really known for their arcade hits. Sure, they had Donkey Kong Jr. and all, but what else really was there at the time? Super Mario Brothers was barely a hit in the arcade. It wasn't until it actually came home to the Nintendo system that it took off. So I agree, though. I think if it wasn't for them, we may not even be gaming right now, or at least it wouldn't be the gaming industry would certainly not be what it was today.
And I suspect that, Nintendo managed to head the crash off at the pass this time.
Yeah.
And the DS was an experiment. I think the DS has always been an experiment for the Wii to see, can casual gamers be courted? And once they were successful, you notice that once the DS started selling well, we started getting a lot more information about the Wii. And I think that, they're already talking about how they're going to make connectivity between the two units. I guess the actual specs of the Wii have been released on the internet. Some developer leaked them, an anonymous developer. So we're seeing all sorts of it's really cool how Nintendo works. They just kind of sneak in. I still haven't seen a huge amount of Nintendo DS commercials. I mean, you would think that their advertising was nil. I mean, the budget. I mean, I could run their advertising budget with my paycheck, based on the amount of Nintendo DS commercials I've seen. But they snuck in, and they sold 21 million units. It's like, what the hell did that come from?
Right.
It's like I always thought the system was brilliant. When I first saw it, I thought, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. Nintendo's finally starting to align with what I want, what I need. And when I saw it, I mean, even though we had a real, lukewarm release, I said, all they have to do is sell, a couple million of these things, and it's going to roll. It's going to take off.
Right, exactly.
And sure enough, man, I mean, Brain Age, my God, I see more about Brain Age in magazines, television specials, more than I see commercials. I mean, brilliant. How brilliant is that? So.
Yeah. And then, the thing is, these people are just, it's a new concept for them. I mean, a lot of these older people, they're able to just pick this thing up and understand exactly what's going on this game, which is, they're always seeing these articles. I think Nintendo Power even did one where they, one of the, I guess, I don't know if he was the editor, but he actually gave his DS to his mother, who I believe was in her 60s, late 60s, and asked her to play Brain Age. So they had a big write-up about that. So
yeah, I mean,
it's just everybody seems to want to see what's going on, and I think that's also part of it. Maybe there's a hype wagon going on also in Japan, and but like I said, the Japanese will find something and they'll jump on it. I know for years for the Famicom, every time a Dragon Warrior game would come out, Dragon Quest game came out, and there'd be lines around the block, and that's kind of like what we're seeing now. It got so bad to the point where the government actually asked Nintendo to stop releasing games during the week because they would release games on like a Thursday, and it was a work day. People would take off from work or play hooky or call out from sick, just to stand in line for a stupid game.
Yeah, I mean, so. We haven't seen that sort of excitement in a long time, and we may not again. No matter what the system is for. I remember when, what was it, Super Mario World 3 came out, when Toys R Us sort of had that exclusive with that. Man, I remember there being lines at Toys R Us to buy a video game.
You mean for the old Nintendo Super Mario 3?
For Super NES, I think it was. Which one was that?
The Super Mario World, yeah.
Yeah. My God, I was like, are you kidding me? You guys are waiting in line? I mean, this isn't like Star Wars here. We're not waiting in line to see, the third episode of Star Wars. You're waiting in line for a Mario game? Hello? But that's the sort of thing we're starting to see again. I mean, my God, the lines in Japan for the DS Lite were insane.
Even the pink one. I mean, I've seen some of the lines for the pink DS.
What's that about?
It's insane. And, they're showing recent sales figures every week for the DS Lite. And it's something in the, 120,000 range. And then the next one down is the PSP with, 32,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a neck-and-neck race anymore.
Right, it's a 3-to-1 ratio.
What's that about? I was reading this article just before we started recording that was saying that based on the numbers, that Nintendo was selling a DS every 2 seconds.
Insane.
What is that? What is that? That's insane, right?
And that's the thing. It's not that's not how many are shipped. That's how many have actually sold.
They're selling it. It's not like they're shipping that many.
Because they're trying to. They haven't even been able to keep them in stock. It's insane.
It is. It's crazy. So, you want to know why you watch Japan? You watch their sales numbers because we have a trickle-down effect in video games, folks, and it trickles from them to us. You know, unless you're this weird diehard Xbox person, and even then, you know, Xbox is courting the crap out of Japanese developers because they can't sell anything over there. Well, I know Xbox is not selling worth a damn over there.
Well, what's funny is in the recent listing, the same listing that showed how many DS Lites and PSPs and whatnot are being sold, the original Xbox had a 0 next to it for this past week.
Now, what's that about?
I guess that wraps it up for the Xbox.
Yeah,
now,
we're all
the
done over there.
Xbox 360, I think, was somewhere in the 1,200 range, so I think that's pretty much over with over there as well.
Yeah, I mean, but they've got, I guess, like 2 or 3 real big developers over there that they've courted. Can you imagine how much money Microsoft has paid them?
You know, I don't know what made them think that the 360 was going to sell any better.
I know it's a different culture. You know,
it's a different type of game. Period. I mean,
it is.
The Japanese don't want to play Halo. They don't want to play Condemned. You know, they don't want to play Perfect Dark. They don't want to play Call of Duty. They don't want to play first-person shooters.
Apparently, they don't want to play Elder Scrolls either.
No, they want to play Rumble Roses.
Well, who doesn't want to play Rumble Roses? You know? Hey, now. But, yeah, I don't think we'll see that on the Wii. Maybe, you never know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's kind of our editorial. You know, we thought we'd sit and rap for a little while about, you know,
the insane game numbers in Japan.
That's insane, dude. I mean, I still can't believe it. You know, every time I back something and I think, yeah, you know, this deserves to make it, it doesn't make it. You know? Right. But for once, I'm actually backing. You know, it's still the underdog, but you're actually backing something that's successful. So that's it's a cool thing.
You know, early on, everybody. I mean, even I thought the PSP was going to be the thing, but you know, once the thing came out and all the games came out, and it was just a no interest for me. I mean, I honestly, I'm looking at the listing now for the PSP games out there, and I think there's maybe 5 games I would buy, and for the most part, it's something like the retro stuff. You know, like that Capcom collection.
Yeah.
You know. Or Ridge Racer. I mean, I wouldn't even. It certainly wouldn't be something like Liberty City. You know, it's just hard to explain. There's a certain type of game, and I found that as I'm getting older now, I've also become a lot more jaded in terms of what I'll play.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm not going to settle for the same old crap anymore. So
yeah, it's funny. I'm starting to see people like come to that realization, and it's like, why have you guys taken like 10 years to figure this out? You know, I was reading somebody had sent in a letter again. I just got done reading this month's Nintendo Power. That's why I keep citing it because it's fresh in my mind. But some guy wrote in and he's like, you know, you can't necessarily always blame the publishers and the development houses for these Me Too games. The consumer needs to take some of the responsibility. You keep buying this crap.
Right.
You keep buying. They're going to keep making it. You know, next year when Madden 08 comes out, don't buy it. And I guarantee you there won't be a Madden 09.
Well, there's a market for that, and early on, I even enjoyed the Madden games, but
yeah, back when it was like Madden 94.
Back when it was when EA was in its innocent stages too. Nowadays they're going to charge you what to update rosters and so forth. It's just full crap.
It's crap, dude.
I can't handle it.
I can't do that. I'll start getting weepy.
But it's amazing. All these people bitch and complain about. 50-cent bulletproof. Well, look, you guys got to stop buying it,
Just say no. It works for drugs. It works for video games. Just say no. Time to bring back the old the old 80s monikers, The FBI.
Get Nancy Reagan involved,
Yeah, William. What's that guy from the FBI that was always in those FBI warnings? William something or another.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? The FBI warnings at the beginning of video games.
Like before Bad Dudes.
Yeah, and like before Narc and stuff.
Yeah, right.
That was great.
Yeah, Narc.
Dude, I love Narc, man. Any game that you can like watch body parts flying all over, that's for me.
In this game, you were about to get high on video games. Unfortunately, in the video game, your character's going to get high, but please, we trust you will not actually do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
No.
You're actually, yeah,
You're collecting the
getting
drugs.
shot with vials
Syringes.
of heroin. Oh man, none of the good old days, dude, when everything was so innocent and I don't know. All right, moving right along. I'd like to give you guys a review of the SuperCard Lite. Now, there's a whole bunch of our audience that already knows what the SuperCard is. They know what the SuperCard line is. They know how it works. The first part of this is probably not going to be for you because I'm going to kind of give a recap as to what this product is, talk about its different incarnations, what you would need and why you would pick what you need, and then we'll talk about the SuperCard Lite exactly as it is. Now, Chris is still pretty new to it too, so he's coming in with a fresh, open mind, and he'll be able to probably ask a couple of questions that I failed to cover at the end of this thing.
Sort of like our DS Lite review, more or less.
Yeah, kind of the same.
You have
idea.
one, I don't.
Yeah, the that was a sucky time, wasn't it? But anyway, so the SuperCard is a device that plugs into your GBA slot on your Nintendo DS, and it harbors a little piece of memory. It harbors either an SD card, a CF card, or a micro SD card, or a mini SD card. I know it's getting confusing. I'll work it out. But for the sake of argument, this little card, you plug a piece of memory in with some files on it, be they audio files, homebrew files, game files, pictures, whatever. So you put these all on a card, you stick this little memory card into the SuperCard, and you plug the SuperCard into the GBA slot of your Nintendo DS. Now, there are products that you will need to also solicit, such as the Max Media Launcher, or the Super Key, or the Pass Me 3s, and I'm going to kind of let you guys look at those on their own, on its own, because those are sort of the products that actually do the violating of, RSA laws and all this other weird crap that I probably shouldn't talk about. But in order to harness one of these SuperCards, you need something to bypass Nintendo's protection that doesn't allow Nintendo or non-Nintendo code to run off of another device. And again, a little bit of Googling goes a long way, folks. Okay, you don't need us to tell you about it. We've talked about the Max Media Launcher in the past, so if you listen to an older show, you'll at least get a little bit about that. But let's say you've got one of these things, right? You've got this Max Media Launcher, you've got this Super Key, and its whole job is to get the code running off that SuperCard or something in the GBA slot. Well, the SuperCard is designed to be a memory access device. You put these memory cards into the SuperCard with the files on it, and you can then execute those files as if they were legitimate Nintendo DS files. And this mainly, in the purposes of keeping this a nice legal discussion, this is to facilitate the playing of homebrew games and software. Now, in the earlier days, we didn't really want to talk about this stuff because there was like two things of homebrew, some things that nobody really wants to play, and everybody's saying, well, how do I run, quote, homebrew, unquote? And what that really means is I want to play free Nintendo DS games. Well, we're not in support of that, folks. We want the Nintendo DS to do very well. We want lots of games to sell lots of copies. We don't want to see it turning into this big wares hacker leet thing. Yeah. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to talk pretty much about homebrew and emulation, which is what the SuperCard allows you to do. To start off with, we'll talk about a little bit about homebrew itself. Homebrew has exploded on the DS in a way that even I didn't think was going to happen. We have things like PDA software under the guise of DS Organize, which is a full-blown, fully usable PDA package, to-do lists, calendars, appointments, addresses, the whole bit. We've got that on the DS right now. Of course, you can't go out and buy it. You have to run it as homebrew. We have MSN Instant Messengers, as Chris mentioned earlier. We just got an AIM Instant Messenger called DS AIM. And I know a lot more people on AIM than I know on MSN, folks.
Everybody's on AIM.
Everybody's on AIM. So that just immediately scored big time. We've got MP3 players, movie players. We've got all this stuff out there. And the barriers between you using it on your Nintendo DS is a SuperCard and some way of connecting to the SuperCard, either through the Super Key or the Pass Me 3 or the Max Media Launcher. So what it really comes down to in terms of what SuperCard do you need? boils down to what sort of memory do you have laying around. Now, we all have electronic devices. We have digital cameras. We've got MP3 players. We've got products that already use some form of media. In my household, we use mostly SD memory or secure digital memory cards. And those, of course, come in a plethora of different sizes. You've got SD, you've got mini SD, and you've got micro SD, which is brand new, hottest technology. It's also called Transmicro, I think it's called?
Transflash or something?
Transflash, that's what it is. They've got a couple of different names for it. Anyway, literally, you could take, I mean, I'm not kidding you. You could take a 1 gig Transflash card and stick it underneath your thumbnail, and you probably wouldn't hurt that much. That's how small these things are. Literally, it's the size of your thumbnail. I mean, it's easy to lose. I mean, you could snort it if that's your thing, and you probably wouldn't choke on it. I'm serious. This thing is so small, I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. So you've got various supercards that fulfill each one of those types of memory. If you also use compact flash, which is a slightly out-of-date kind of memory format, but a lot of people have it, there's a supercard just for you. So the final thing when choosing a supercard will be what, other than what type of memory does it take, is what format you would like it to be. They have older supercards, the original supercards, which were these giant, huge GBA card size things that stuck out of your DS, out of the GBA slot. I mean, it hung out.
Even
folks.
bigger. I mean, we're talking probably another half an inch on top of that.
Yeah. I mean, huge. I mean, these things were huge, and they took
especially
standard,
compared to the DS Lite. I mean, when you put it in the DS Lite, it's even bigger.
It's like a quarter of the size of the DS Lite. You're going, dude, I don't want this in here. This looks nasty, right? You got this super sleek, hot-looking DS and this giant brick hanging out the bottom of it. It doesn't look cool. It doesn't make you look cool in front of your friends. So they scrapped that, and they went with something called the Mini, or the SuperCard Mini, which used the Mini SD, which is a little bit smaller, and that actually sits flush inside of the old classic Nintendo DS.
Nice.
Now, that sounds cool, but when you put it in that nice, sleek DS Lite, it still sticks out like, 3/4 of an inch, and you're going, oh, man, why can't it just fit a little bit more in there? It's so sleek on the bottom, and it hangs up in my pocket when I pull it out. So, of course, where there's a need, there is a product. And most recently, the SuperCard Lite has come upon us. Now, if you have a DS Lite, you know about the little dust cover plate/null cart that came with your DS. You put it inside the GBA slot. When you don't have a GBA game in there, it keeps the dust out. Well, that's a little guy, right? I mean, you hold up an SD card or even a mini SD memory card up to that thing, and it's huge compared to that little dust cover, right? So they took the hottest memory, the Transflash, the micro SD, and they built the SuperCard Lite around that technology. Literally, this thing is smaller than your thumbnail, this memory card. And it's front loading. Some of the SuperCards, you had to remove the SuperCard to take out and replace the SD memory or whatever inside the unit. Well, a lot of people complained about that. Take it out, put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out, put it in. You get the idea. So not only did they take the SuperCard and slice it up into the size of that null cartridge that you put in the bottom of your Nintendo DS Lite, but they took the smallest possible memory that's readily available. I'm sure there's something smaller right around the corner, and they made it front load. So now, not only do you have this slick white, of course it's only available in white, folks. I know those of you who imported black and blue are going to be disappointed, but the SuperCard Lite is only available in white, which is fine, because I have my crack cocaine white Nintendo DS Lite. And it loads the memory in the front. So now, when you get bored of what's on your unit or you need an update to DS Organize, you can just pull that little tiny, tiny memory card out, stick it in your SD adapter, put it in your computer, and change out the contents. Now, a lot of people already have a SuperCard, and they're saying to themselves, okay, I can live with the half-inch sticking out. I'm good with it. I've gotten used to it. It's like having a chipped tooth. It bothers you for the first week, but after that, you just kind of get used to it, right? Yeah. So what does it offer that maybe the other SuperCards don't offer? Well, one of the big things in the advertisements for it that you may have seen if you float around some more gray Nintendo DS websites is the fact that they claim that it's faster. Now, faster is definitely one of those words where it can mean a lot of different things. So one of the things that we wanted to know right away was there are a couple of games, again, that you legally own, such as Animal Crossing, that when put on the SuperCard didn't quite function as its retail counterpart. So you have this copy of Animal Crossing that you have purchased, and you have a copy of Animal Crossing sitting on the SuperCard, let's say the SuperCard Mini SD edition, and you run that guy, and it runs slow. It's like a dog. It's just like you're wading through the menus, your guy moves around real slow. It's no fun. Right. It's no fun at all. So everybody was interested, well, does this fix the speed problems with Tony Hawk, American Skater, Animal Crossing, some slowdowns in some other games like Castlevania? And the good news is, provided you're willing to invest in a slightly faster of the trans flash or micro SD, such as the SanDisk Ultra 2, which I think is 60x, I believe, is the speed on that. If you're willing to invest in that, you will find that those speed problems go away. Animal Crossing, Tony Hawk, and Castlevania all run as you would hope that they would run. So that's a good thing. If you were thinking, hey, is this worth an upgrade? If all it does is require me to buy more stupid memory and it doesn't stick out, not worth my time. If those things are important to you, it's probably worth your time. Now, the other thing that a lot of people, even people who already own SuperCards, don't know is that SuperCards, even the Lite version, have built-in emulators. Now, for those of you who may not know what emulation is, a quick look would be, let's see, if you don't know what emulation is, we're probably talking about the PlayStation generation. So let's talk let's say Super Nintendo. Okay, a lot of people know what Super Nintendo is. Everybody played Mario Kart. People write software that emulate those hardware devices, like, say, the Super Nintendo. So it's like Super Nintendo written in software, sort of like how the Xbox 360 handles old Xbox stuff, right? I can give you something you can relate to. Sure. So they write this code, and then you feed it the actual game, and it plays the game as if it were the actual piece of hardware. So built into the SuperCard is a Nintendo NES emulator, a Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulator, and a PC Engine, aka TurboGrafx 16 emulator. Now, granted, emulation is just that. It's a best attempt to run that software on this other type of machine. Now, the NES and the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color work pretty dang good. I mean, for the most part, if you've got some old Game Boy Color games that you're dying to play, you're going to be able to play them off that SuperCard, providing, of course, you legally own it. Got to make sure you put that in there. Don't want Nintendo crying on our shoulder. And the NES stuff works pretty good, too. And, of course, there are other third-party emulators if you're not happy with the stuff that's built into the SuperCard. Now, with that all being said, the one other thing that a lot of people have asked about is, will it play Game Boy Advance games that you legally own or are legally entitled to operate? Yes, it does. However, as many people have sadly found out, the Game Boy architecture doesn't play very well off the SuperCard. In fact, while many games work perfectly flawlessly, certain games, certain fan favorites, such as Yoshi Island, suffers from slowdowns which make the games almost unplayable. So if you're looking at the SuperCard to possibly get your Game Boy Advance fix, this is not your product. There are other products that are more suitable out there that are similar in design to the SuperCard that may indeed be better suited for your Game Boy Advance needs. But we're not talking about Game Boy Advance. This is the Nintendo DS. We want to talk about Nintendo DS Homebrew. What kind of good stuff can I run on this thing? Well, we've already mentioned B-Up, which is the MSN Messenger, the AIM Messenger. There's an IRC program. There's a mail program. Soon to come will come the Opera web browser for the DS, which we've been talking about for every show. Soon to be, I'm sure, that somebody will find a way to make it run off the SuperCard, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah. But imagine having this suite of internet tools, this organizer, movie players, MP3 players. People are going nuts with this crap, and it's all Wi-Fi and it's free. If you want to check your mail using NDS Mail off your SuperCard, you can stop at pretty much any McDonald's nationwide, hop on, and get your mail. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, I can do that on my cell phone. I can do that on my PlayStation Portable. But what's it going to cost you?
But wait a minute. Aren't you talking about convergence?
I am talking about convergence. Now, see, convergence isn't necessarily important to me. My particular feelings on convergence are well-known lore, which has been lamented over endlessly. But I know a lot of people who the first thing they ask, and I swear straight up, the first thing they ask is, can I get porn on that? It's like, dude, it's a Nintendo. That's like asking for strip poker on the NES. It's just not going to happen. But through convergence, if you must have your porn fix, this is a family show, folks. We're not going to talk about porn very long. But I just want you to think. You have a web browser. You've got a movie player, a picture viewer. So you make your own mind up whether or not you could look at porn on this thing.
It's certainly at your discretion on what you want to use with these, do with these tools.
That's right. It's up to your discretion. But here's the best part about it. People are writing games. You can actually get homebrew games, things like that you'd normally go to the internet for, things like little flash games, things that are interesting, distractions, gaming distractions, things that you play for a couple of minutes and put away. Well, that's sort of what the DS is made for, right? Is for casual Twitch gaming. Well, here you go. Now you've got a homebrew society that is busily pumping away at creating these homebrew titles just for you.
Yeah, some of these are getting to be really cool.
Yeah, some of these are becoming incredible. DS Organize, for example, has added a homebrew database built into the product. So you don't even have to go searching on the net. Get this. You open up your SuperCard on your DS, and you select DS Organize. You get into that nice, friendly PDA interface. You click the homebrew database. It hops onto your wireless access point and pulls down a list of all the hottest homebrew software that's available. They've got RPGs. They've got products like we've already talked about, the mail software, the IRC chat. And guess what? You can download it right to your SuperCard from that interface. You restart your DS, and you can run it right then and there. So if you're trapped at McDonald's and you need email, but you only have DS Organize on, DS Organize will help you download NDS Mail. You're getting your mail. So, well, it's obviously not a PDA. It's not a movie player. It's not an MP3 player. And Nintendo purposefully did that. Why? You don't think they could have released that stuff here legally, right? They could have done that. But they know the importance of keeping the purity of the Nintendo DS as a gaming unit. They don't want to confuse consumers. Sony. And it's working. However, we all have a little special need, a little special itch, and that's where Homebrew and the SuperCard will help meet those needs. Now, the SuperCards clock in at around $50, which sounds like a lot of cash considering it's about half the price of the DS itself. But there's another usage for it that I would like to bring up to you that may make that money worth it. It surely does me. If you look at my dual screen radio Nintendo DS database, which you can find at www.dualscreenradio.com, had to get that in there one more time. If you go there and look at my database, you see that I've got 83-something, maybe even more now, some 80-plus titles of games that I own. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen 80 Nintendo DS games stacked up next to each other on a desk. That's a lot of cartridges. And if you ever actually, I challenge you, take all the DS games that you have, put them in your hand, throw them up in the air and see how many of them you can catch. Imagine doing that with 80 of them. That's what happens when I spill my bag when I'm on the road. I'm chasing after 80 DS cartridges. So in order to protect my investment, I know this is starting to sound a little funky here, folks. In order to protect my investment, I'm not carrying 83 cartridges with me. Now, Chris, I know he likes to carry like his top 5 or 6 games with him, and that's cool. But sometimes I may not be in the mood for those 5 or 6 games. I might want something I left
just
at
put
home.
whatever I feel I'm going to be playing at the time. Usually there's a set amount of games that, and it really gets hard based on the fact that, now that I have a DS Lite, I have a smaller case, so I'm a little more limited to what I can put in there now than I did before. Before I was able to put about 11 games because you got the 10 in the bag and then you got the 1 in the DS.
Right.
Now I'm limited to about, I think, let me see, how many do I have in here?
Well, Chris is going to show you. This is real-world scenario.
I have about, real-world scenario on hands. Circumstances here. Let's see, I have 6 in here with my new case, plus 1 in the DS. That's 7. So, that's 7 games. So I have to actually juggle the fact that, what am I going to be playing right now? What games am I really into playing plus the fact that if I go somewhere and somebody else has a DS, what multiplayer games may I be wanting to play that I might want to play multiplayer, but not necessarily single player?
There you
So,
go.
you got your typical handy games like Tetris, which everybody seems to want to play, Mario Kart, and I've got FIFA in there because, me and my dad like to play FIFA every once in a while. But then you got things like Touch Golf, and of course something like Metroid Pinball, which I enjoy playing single player and multiplayer anyway. And then you got New Super Mario Brothers just for the mini games alone. Even though I've beaten a single player game and really have kind of warmed off or cooled off to the game in general now that I've kind of blown through it, those mini games are still fantastic to have in there.
You bet.
So yeah, I mean, I guess being able to maybe do what you do and squeeze these onto a supercard is cool, but that's what it comes down to. There is a limitation on what you're going to want to carry with you. I mean, I don't have quite as much of a collection as Shane does. I think I'm up to about maybe 45 or so games, and he's at 80, as you said. So, obviously you're not going to be able to carry all those games around with you at all times, but.
So that's really the last key to this whole supercard puzzle. Okay, so you're not interested in homebrew. It's too much fiddling around. I just want to play games. Okay, well, that's cool. I don't want to play GBA stuff. I don't want to play emulators. That's all too complicated. But you got a pretty substantial collection, right, with all these touch generation games coming out and all this good stuff. My God, you could go crazy trying to carry enough games around. And it's so sleek. You put the thing in your pocket. You don't want to put it in a big case. It has a bunch of games attached to it. So where the supercard really becomes valuable, at least to me, is in your ability to take games with you. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Don't write it to us and say, hey, heard you were talking about being able to play Animal Crossing on that supercard. Can you help me out? No, I can't. Our affiliation with our various publishers and with Nintendo and being a family show, we're not going to talk to you about that. You can find the information, folks. Google, again, is your friend. However, with a little bit of work, not much work at all, you can take your entire collection of Nintendo DS games and put them on a supercard. How cool is that? A 1 gig card, a 1 gigabyte card in your supercard will hold, depending on the games, about 20 to 25 games. If you need more than 20 to 25 games on your trip, buy an extra flash card, man. Buy a 2 gigabyte card or buy a 2 gig card. They've got 2 gig models available. The point is, the supercard adds convenience. If you're going to play legit, you're a good consumer. You've bought 83 frickin' Nintendo DS games. You should be able to play them the way you want to play them. And as a bonus, you'll be able to back up those saves, right? That's something that always freaks me out. I've got a cartridge in there. I've been playing this game, and I'm always wondering, what if something happens to the cartridge? What if my kids pick it up and start playing it and ruin my save or lose a bunch of cash that I've worked towards, or they play a couple of missions and now I don't get to play them. I have to go back and play them again. A lot of families have one DS Lite or one DS in the house, and they share it. And not every game gives you the availability of having multiple save slots, right? With a supercard, with running the games off the supercard, the save files are just plain files sitting on that card. Anytime you want to back those up so you have a copy of them, you just finished Lost in Blue, man. It took you like a month. And now you want to let your kids play it. You can pull your save off of there and give them a brand new, fresh game, right? And that's a great option. You can roll back old versions of your saved games. That's something you just can't do without a product like the supercard. Now, the last thing before we tidy this thing up, I've droned on long enough about the supercard and its advantages.
Yeah.
But I do want to tell you about the supercard itself. I've talked to you about all the good stuff, but we would not be journalistically responsible if I didn't tell you the bad stuff about the SuperCard Lite. The SuperCard Lite is a very, very tight-fitting card. In fact, once you get it in there, you're not going to want to take it out. So if you're a huge fan of having the Rumble Pack in, you play a lot of actual GBA games, things that you may not be able to play on the SuperCard, like Yoshi Island, this may not be the product for you. You may want to look into, say, maybe the original SuperCard or the SuperCard Mini that pulls in and out a little bit easier. You're going to have to put up with it sticking out, but that's the price you pay for easeability. The other part that I found right away is that it's very temperamental about putting it in. When I put in my SuperCard Lite the first time, I put it straight in and pushed down on both sides with my thumb, and it would simply not recognize the card. It would not recognize it. In fact, I thought mine was defunct. And I ended up hopping up on a forum and seeing what the problem was, and they tell you that you need to push in the right side first. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The right side first? What the hell? This is a cartridge. But as soon as I pulled that thing out with a little bit of pry barring and jaws of life, I got the thing out and I reseated it, pushing it on the right first and seating it from right to left. Sure enough, it worked like a champ. Now, that may be a manufacturing thing with these first run of SuperCard Lites. I don't know. But you need to be notified that if your SuperCard Lite doesn't appear to work, try that. That may take care of it. The memory slot that you put in your trans flash or your micro SD card is not spring-loaded anymore either. It's actually just a little edge connector. You slide it in and it connects to the edge connector, and that's it. It doesn't pop out. It doesn't, and you need fingernails, folks. I bite my nails. I bite mine to the nitty-gritty. So it's hard for me to get my thumb in there and hook onto that little tiny little lip on the trans flash card to pull it out. And it's not big enough for you to like grab with your fingers. This is really tiny, folks. We're going to have pictures. I'm going to show comparisons on the pictures of the SD, the mini SD, and the micro SD, as well as maybe a thumbnail drive or something like a keychain drive, just so you guys can get a real positive understanding as to how small this thing really is. The other thing too is while it sits almost flush, There's a little tiny ridge around the outside. Now, I've already read that people have filed off a little tiny bit of the front, the part that you stick into the DS. They filed off like a 1/16 of an inch off the front of that. And that lets it sit flush. For me, dude, this sits so close to flush, it might as well be flush. I am completely content with it. And you'll see pictures. I'll post those. So you can determine whether or not you'd be satisfied with that. For me, it's perfectly acceptable. People have also complained that it's not a glossy finish, it's a matte finish, which means it's not all shiny and slick like the rest of your DS Lite. Yeah. For those of you who actually buy things based on color and surface finish, this may be important to you. For me, not having this card jut out 3 inches was important to me. So I am perfectly content with having a matte versus a glossy finish on the outside of it. Frankly, you can't tell the difference between my DS and the guy down the street's DS.
So you lose the whole iPod feel, unfortunately?
Yeah, and that's actually a benefit in my case. I'd rather not it look like an iPod. But, journalistically responsible, I wanted to let you know that those are the sad, sour persimmons ends of things. Now, we mentioned that the SuperCard Lite will set you back between $50 and $60, depending on where you get it. Right now, if you don't care, if you got like an old DS Classic, or they call it the DS Fat, you can pick up the old SuperCards for a song because everyone's trying to upgrade. So you can go and pick them up for $20. And then you may have some SD memory just sitting around already. So you just slap that in there, you're good to go. You're $20 in, and that's it. For those of you who are upgrading from one of the original SuperCards, and you're going from, say, the Mini or the original SuperCard to the Lite, not only do you pay, of course, for the SuperCard Lite, but you'll also have to buy the Trans Flash or the SD micro SD memory.
And how much did that set you back?
That actually, I ended up paying $49 for a gig, which wasn't horrible. But I did have to go back from having a micro 2 gig, or a mini 2 gig to a micro 1 gig, which means I had to drop about half the games off that I normally would carry around with me. And I remembered why I hated 1 gig cards, because they're not quite big enough, but 2 gig is too much. Which we really need is like a 1.5 gig card, and I'd be a lot happier. But in any event, they do have 2 gigabyte trans flash or micro SD memory coming in the next few months, but I'm sure there'll be a premium to pay for the 2 gigabyte size. I can't believe they can put a gig on my thumbnail, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I was amazed. I was amazed at the mini SD, folks. The micro SD simply puts me beside myself.
But you know what, though? The thing is, these things seem to come down or tend to come down in price very quickly. Especially as the bigger sizes come out. So, you'll get you'll get your 2 gig and it'll probably be like $80, $90. But then in 6 months, 7 months later, it'll be probably down to about $40.
Yeah.
Because then a 3 or 4 gig will be out.
Yeah, they'll be dropping like flies, folks. But I know a lot of people that listen to us are early adopters. You want to know what it's going to cost to get you into it right now. And, of course, the memory you can always upgrade later. I do recommend, folks, even though it's a little more pricey, I think it was $10 more. I could have gotten one for $39. But I went with the Ultra 2 SanDisk, which is, I think, twice as fast as the original SanDisk SD. So I would highly recommend that if you're making the move, spend the extra $10. Get the faster stuff. I can't believe how fast games unpack. For those of you who are SuperCard users that have the 21 megabit unpacking going on when you unpack one of those big games to play, and it takes like 4 or 5 seconds, not anymore. Bam! It's like unpacked and ready to play. You're going, wow, how cool is that?
Wow.
So there's definitely an improvement to be had there, just not on the GBA side of things.
Well, if you think about it, that's ultimately the GBA wasn't really probably the priority here anyway.
Absolutely not. There's tons of other dedicated GBA-friendly type devices out there that are similar to the SuperCard. Again, Google's your friend, and you can find that sort of stuff out there. But anyway, that is the SuperCard Lite in a nutshell review for you folks. And again, feel free to ask questions through our forum or through the email form on our website at www.dualscreenradio.com. Had to get it at least one more time. I'm going for like 20 before the end of the show. Anyway, you can ask us questions. Again, remember, we're not here to foster piracy. We're not going to tell you where to get ROMZORs and teach you how to be LeetZor, HackZors. Right. We're going to point you in the right direction to get the stuff, and it's going to be kind of your job to figure out how to use it. But am I happy with it? Psh, are you kidding me? My DS Lite looks so slick and sleek. It makes me actually want to play it more. Take it with me in public.
What, man. I mean, I think the big thing is I'm interested in checking out the DS AIM, or I know the B-Up is really nicely done.
Do you want me to tell you about DS AIM? Is it story time? Should we tell a quick story?
If you want to go ahead and do story time, that's fine with me.
Because incidentally, and I'm going to cue the music here. Let's have some story time music. This is a new feature of Dual Screen Radio, folks.
Yes, we've answered to the demands of the listeners. We're having some background music during story time.
Do you hear it? You don't hear it. We don't hear it, but trust me, you will hear it before the show actually airs. You hear that music? This means it's story time. I'm going to tell you a story. This last weekend, I was charged with taking my family over to the coast. I live here in Phoenix, and my in-laws.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Huh? What's that?
You were going to say something else. You were charged.
I was charged, yes. Charged with felony DS and run.
DSI.
I was charged with taking the family over to the coast, and we're going to spend a couple days over at Universal Studios Hollywood, which is always fun. Lots of cool rides. And one night we came back from a rather hectic day, and I hopped on my mother-in-law's computer and just wanted to see what was new. And lo and behold, here's DS AIM. And I'm thinking, ooh, DS AIM, I could talk to Chris, because that's the technology that he and I use to communicate, not MSN. So B-Up is fun, but if you don't have anybody on MSN to shoot the breeze with, it's practically
useless.
Pointless.
Yes.
So I saw DS AIM, and I had brought a card reader with me, so I was kind of a slut, and I had to get my slut in there. I downloaded DS AIM to my SuperCard. And I'm thinking, man, I can't wait to try this out. Well, here's something interesting on the homebrew front, folks. Did you know, for some reason, homebrew stuff doesn't seem to work through the Nintendo Wi-Fi USB adapter? Strange but true.
Interesting.
See, I brought my USB adapter with me because I wanted to hop on and play some games online while I was on the coast. So I plug it into the back of my mom-in-law's computer. She's already got the software running on it from the last time I was there. But guess what? Homebrew stuff won't work through it. I was crushed. So naturally, I went through the house, in every corner of the house, looking for a neighbor that had an unsecured Wi-Fi access point. Bad news, I found one, but it was locked. So I'm like, this sucks. I'm never going to get a chance to use this thing while I'm over here. I'm not going to get to talk to Chris. So my wife said she wanted to go swimming. I said, okay, cool. We'll take the kids. We'll go down to the pool. I wasn't interested in swimming, but I did want to soak my feet in that nice hot tub they got down there. So I wore my flip-flops, and of course the DS slid into my pocket. They all wanted to swim. I'm going to sit in the hot tub.
Put the little rubber on the DS Lite.
I got nothing better. I'm just going to put my feet in. My feet are tired. I don't want to get all wet. So I sit with my feet in the hot tub, and I whip the DS out, and I'm saying, there's an awful lot of complexes around here. I bet somebody's got an unsecured access point.
Now, I don't know how you got away with that.
Sure enough, there was one just within range, 2 bars, vacillating between 1 and 2 bars. So I hopped on, and I'm on. I'm like, yes. Well, guess what? I got DS-AIM here. Let's give it a whirl. So I fired up DS-AIM, and of course, this was later at night. Chris was already probably 3 or 4 hours in bed at this point. And I hopped on DS-AIM, and I got on. And lo and behold, my contact list populated on the screen. Here I am in Nowhere, California. Okay, it's Orange County, California, so it's not nowhere, but I'm in the middle of this complex with my feet in a hot tub. You got to picture this, folks, because this is really fun. Here I am in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm down at the complex pool with my feet in the hot tub, and I've got DS-AIM up, and one of my friends, Demolition Man from the forums, happens to be on. I start chatting with him. I'm in the hot tub in the middle of nowhere, hopped on to somebody's unsecured Wi-Fi access point, which probably is in the apartment complex right across the street. And I'm chatting while my family's in swimming. Dude, that's priceless. You can't buy memories like that.
No.
I mean, not even from recall.
I have no idea how you got away with this.
Well, see, I didn't exactly get away with it. I was spotted by my wife, who happened to start soaking and lounging. She's like, "You brought that down here?"
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, "Well, I'm in the hot tub. There's no one over here. I was all alone. What was I supposed to do? Do nothing?" She's like, well, you could have been watching your family. I said, "I'm in the hot tub."
I could have been drowning.
And she's like, "Well, what are you doing? What are you playing?" And I should have just said Tetris. I should have said Mario Kart. I should have said
Animal Crossing.
I should have said Animal Crossing. I should have said Pirates of the Caribbean, which is my new fanatic thing these days. But no, I had to be smart and say, "Oh, I'm chatting." Oh, man, watch the cloud cover come in. You mean to tell me you're on vacation with your family in a hot tub and you're chatting with your friends? Those of you who are married and are in a similar situation know exactly how awkward this particular moment was in time. Is that a great story or what? That sort of thing can only happen to me. I wish I could have had a picture. I wish I could have had a picture with my feet in the hot tub, the light in hand, with this like the NFL football where they draw like the scrimmage lines and stuff out for it. I guess they got CG stuff now, but with this invisible line shooting from my DS over to the neighbor's apartment, me sucking down off their Wi-Fi.
So what did you end up doing? Closing the DS and...
Well, no, I told her what I was doing. I just told I told Demolition Man, "We'll see you later. Gotta go." And
that was the end of that.
Disconnected.
But
how cool is that? I mean, how cool is it that you can hop illegally onto somebody's Wi-Fi? You know, if you're going to leave the front door open, how are you going to bitch when somebody comes in? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I always love. I love to look at the names for their hotspots.
Default. Yeah. Linksys.
Netgear.
D-Link. Dude, it's the best, man. That's a game all in itself. How many unsecured points are there from this point? I can't believe there's not a Frapper map out there of hot locations where there's lots of unsecured Wi-Fi. That would be awesome. Hey, I'm going to stop over and say Irvine, California. Let me look up some hot spots that are already open. Dude,
well,
how cool is that?
I know in our new apartment here, you know, everybody, as soon as I turned the laptop on, I didn't even have my wireless plugged in yet. I opened the laptop up and I must have gotten about 5 or 6, you know, and it's just all open all over the place. And
technology's great, isn't it?
I think only 2 of them had padlocks on them. So I don't know, you know, and of course you had like 2 defaults, you know, you had a couple Linksys, you know, and one was the name of the apartment, the section of the apartment we live in. So you definitely know they're my neighbors. But
yeah.
You know, I said, well, you know, I'd rather use my own fat pipe. You know, I mean, I don't know what those people are sucking down, and so I'm just going to get on mine, and I got my own. I might as well use it. So I made sure I protected mine.
In the middle of nowhere, you got to take what you can get.
You got to watch out for people like Shane R. Monroe who want to play with his DS.
Yeah, you need to be locking those Wi-Fi down because there's somebody in a hot tub down the street from you playing Mario Kart off your connection. There you go. That's Storytime Theater for this episode.
Yes. So please join us next week for a stimulating, exciting episode of Story Time with Shane Armaro, where
Story
we will
theater.
further explore the wonderful depths that Shane will go to play his DS Lite in public.
Stay tuned, folks. Well, let's move along to the coming attractions. We've got a few goodies here for you before the next show comes out. We are presented with yet another flight sim. It seems that we had not enough of them, and now we're going to have them in spades. Freedom Wings comes out. Or actually, it should already be out, but I haven't seen a copy of it kicking around yet. How about you?
No, and I was just at GameStop yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's probably one of those little niche titles that...
we'll get one in and put the display copy up, and it'll sell.
Right. So go ahead and get the box and bring that up to the counter. And you're expecting me to pay full price for that, sir?
It's been opened. It's 50% off.
Yes, it's 50% off. Oh, my. Yes, we must invoke the George Takei. Or decay, because it rhymes with okay.
You say potato, I say potato.
Now, one of the games that I know a lot of us have been looking forward to is Deep Labyrinth, which is coming out here on the 15th. And Deep Labyrinth is sort of it's being hailed as the first 3D real-time combat game.
RPG.
RPG, nonetheless, for all of you people that are complaining.
DS has been kind of lax in RPGs, so this will hopefully fill the void a little bit next to Lost Magic. Of course,
yes, I hope
once
so.
Final Fantasy III comes out in, another month or two, I'm sure this game will be quickly forgotten.
Quickly forgotten, except for us old school people. I took a look at the import just a little bit. This is one of those games that's not very import friendly. But we took a look at it for a few minutes, and it looks like you run around on rails until you actually get to a fighting position, where then you can actually, swipe on the screen and do your different things. Cool. It looks like it's good for us old school, dungeon master,
dungeon crawlers,
Bard's Tale, dungeon. Yeah, sort of
kind of like the Eye of the Beholder. Was it Eye of the Beholder? No, what was it?
Yeah, it was Eye of the Beholder. Exactly.
It's gonna get that same kind of perspective thing going on. It also reminded me a little bit from the screenshots of the old Neo Geo Cross Swords game, where you had it's kind of like a punch-out kind of view where you can see through your knight. Only in this you don't have that because you have the touch screen, so I guess it makes it a little different in terms of where you're going to swipe. Whereas in an arcade game or even Punch-Out, you actually have a guy there for placeholder of where you're actually interacting with. It kind of reminded me of Cross Swords. When you get the monsters coming at you and they're right in front of you, and you kind of have to slash and hit back. It's all Eye of the Beholder-ish. Maybe from the old days, we'll remember that.
It was fun what little I could make out of it. So I'm excited to take a look at that.
I do know it was originally a cell phone game, though. That's what they're saying in Japan.
Oh, well, that doesn't actually make me all that excited.
No,
but,
just much like the N-Gage stuff, that was transferred over to the, ported over to the DS originally early on, like Splinter Cell was originally from the N-Gage.
I was not pleased with Splinter Cell, so let's hope Deep Labyrinth
see what happens.
Shows. Yeah, Tenchu Dark Secret is also the ninja stealth killing assassination game. Comes out on the 21st. That is, by the way, a GameStop exclusive. We thought it was bad enough that games got exclusivity on a console. Now, instead of just getting a bonus item when you buy it somewhere, you actually can't buy it anywhere else but this one place, which is GameStop.
And I'm wondering if there's a reason for that. Maybe because it sucks. Right. Because I'm not real impressed with how it's looking so far. It's looking pretty quick, like, oh, hey, we need to make a Tenchu for the DS. Let's thinking of that done over the weekend.
Well, and the other thing too is, have we seen a movie on it yet? Have we seen a video?
No.
No video. And you know what? For those of
at
you
least
who are listeners of the show, no video, no buy. So until you see a video of a
I've seen plenty of screenshots.
One like this. Yeah, the screenshots look horrible. But I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. Because we all know that screenshots on the DS are not very clean looking in magazines and in media. But usually they look great in motion. Unfortunately, if you don't get to see it in motion, they're hiding something. So,
well, I think
that's my
thoughts. I think the problem with the screenshots is, you have that double resolution thing going on, where they got to make things bump them up higher.
Yeah, and then it looks all blocky and it looks great on the machine, but just doesn't look good in medium. Hey, I'm actually excited about this next one, Madden 07. comes out on the 22nd. You know, don't start laughing too fast. Now, listen, let me explain why. Because here's this new thing that EA is doing, and I'm not sure I'm totally in support of it yet. I want to know what your opinion is on this, actually, Chris. In all of the new things that EA is putting out, Madden, The Sims 2 Pets, I think we have that in our,
that's in our news
list of things to talk about under Touch and Go today. But all of these, EA is doing this new thing where they build exclusivity into each game for each platform. So, for example, in Madden 07, you're going to be able to call audibles on the DS version.
Actually scream it into the microphone?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a friend of mine who's a big PlayStation 2 fan, he heard me talking about audibles, and he's like, oh, that's going to be so cool. I said, dude, don't get your hopes up. It's only for the DS version. And he's like, oh, no, that would have been so cool in the PlayStation. Well, there are no audibles for the other versions. It's only exclusive to the DS version. And they have the same thing going on with other titles that they've got. Yes. So anyway, I'm kind of excited about the concept of being able to have something on Madden. And I'll tell you what, I looked at some of the video and some of the screenshots, and it actually starting to look pretty decent. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
a friend of mine's a huge football
it's Electronic
fan.
Arts. It's
Electronic Arts.
Don't get your hopes up.
I'm not. I'm trying not.
The thing is, though, this doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, something like audibles. I mean, it's part of the sport. That's part of the game. You know, of football.
Right.
I'm not the biggest football fan. Actually, I'm pretty much nothing of a football fan anymore. But, you know, the thing is, audibles. I mean, I had audibles back on the Genesis, Matt, and so I don't quite understand. I assume when you say exclusive audibles, it's exclusive in terms of you can say it into the microphone.
Yes, that's correct. You still have audibles, but the only way that you can control it with your voice is on the DS.
So I guess if you're a handicapped person and you can't speak, you're kind of screwed. You're not going to be running any audibles in the DS version.
Probably not. Probably not.
That seems like a forced use of the functions of the DS to me.
It does, but it makes sense.
It's a little childish, in my opinion.
In this case, it's kind of cool though, because calling audibles, you use your voice, and that's sort of a natural use.
Oh no!
It's when they do it's when they do stupid crap like forcing you to use the touchscreen to shoot in Monster House, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. And that is a cheap, nasty way of using the tech. I don't know. We'll find out. I also know that Madden 07 is going to be like $39, so they're not going to see my cash anytime soon.
No.
Yeah.
Personally, I'll be saving my money up. I'm kind of on the fence, obviously. I'm waiting to see what they'll do with FIFA 07. See how that works out.
Yeah, they seem to be missing a lot of opportunity with that. I mean, you'd think that they'd put it online, but
yeah, I don't know what the story is. I mean, if I'm going to be paying $40 for a DS game, it'd be nice if it was at least online.
It better be online,
especially a game that they make year after year after year after year, and it's a little ridiculous. They need to add new features.
Retarded.
I mean, the first year out, okay, I understand you're trying to rush something new to the market. You know, you want to get your marketability, your franchise on the system as soon as you can. You know, so they're going to probably cut a few corners here and there. But, it's a couple of years later now. I mean, we had Madden 05, we had Madden 06, and now we have Madden 07. I mean, something tells you, okay, well, why don't we start adding new things or doing something differently than trying to just push a couple more pixels on the DS screen for the players? Let's add a whole new feature like Wi-Fi. So,
Wi-Fi makes way too much sense. But, EA was late to the whole Wi-Fi thing or the online play anyway. And then they use their own servers, so they're probably really reluctant to hop into bed with Nintendo's Wi-Fi. They're probably trying to come up with some method of doing it themselves, which
don't
fight the system,
the same
man.
way.
The Wi-Fi is already there.
Same way with the Xbox. I mean, for the longest time, they weren't going to be on the Xbox, and then finally on live. I mean, the early Xbox stuff from EA in terms of Madden and whatnot, they weren't online. And it took a couple of years, and they finally reached an agreement, and they shook hands and all this other nonsense, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, so.
Who knows what goes on behind the scenes there.
Yeah. Well,
all righty. Well, that's kind of your 2-week frame of reference there for what's
still mildly quiet. It's going to start heating up a little bit towards the end of the month, and September looks to be a little bigger. September, October are where you're going to seem to get a little more action going on.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. I've been playing the import of Star Fox like mad. I can't wait to get an English version so I know what the hell's going on.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
Oh yeah, hey, I finally figured out how to use the bombs. It's like, oh, this is so cool. Anyway.
That's funny. Oh, I gotta use the D-pad now.
Oh yes. Okay, so what's coming out, or what's out now that is worthy of you taking a look at, or not taking a look at?
Not too much.
Not too much, actually. Sudoku Gridmaster came out, and actually that's pretty decent. If you're looking for another shot of Sudoku, maybe you've mastered all the Brain Age stuff. Its presentation's not quite as slick as the Brain Age stuff. I haven't seen a Sudoku game yet that rivals Brain Age, but Gridmaster's pretty decent, especially if you can pick it up for cheap. And I think it was $19 new, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those cheapy, touch generations aren't necessarily cheap, it seems. Some of the newer boxes for Tetris have touch generation on it now, the little logo. And also the Magnetica. I mean, they're not $20 each, so. I was hoping, all the games under that touch generation logo would be pretty much $19.99, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So.
Not the case. No. But yeah, so Gridmaster's a decent pickup, again, like I said, if you've already cleared out the 100 puzzles that are in Brain Age.
Here's some more.
Hey, what about Hi Hi Puffy Amy Yumi, the genie and the amp?
No idea. Never seen.
Did you even look at that?
No, I've never seen the show, and I've never seen the game, and I really have no.
I took a look at the game, and
you're the type that would look at the game. See myself.
I have to, dude. I have to look at this stuff because I get intensely curious, and I only played it for just a couple of minutes, but I had to look at it, and it's the principle doesn't seem too bad, but I can't get past a game where the game name is Hi Hi Puffy Amy Yumi. I just can't do it. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool. They have like this. The whole bottom screen is like a guitar. What's the part where the strings are, where you pluck the strings or strum the strings? What do they call that on a guitar? I don't know. But anyway, they have that on the bottom screen, and the way that you.
Let me guess. Hold on. Let me guess.
Go ahead.
You use the touch screen and the stylus to strum the guitar.
Yes, but the way that you strum it, the way you pick out the notes is sort of like rune magic and like Lost Magic.
Uh-huh.
The way that you strum it or the way that you pick the strings cause different types of powers to happen.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I guess I'll give them a point for that. That seems kind of cool, but again, I didn't play it long enough. So, if you're a big Hi Hi Puffy fan, maybe it looks good. The graphics look good. It's technically looks fairly sound.
They do look rather colorful. I have seen a few screenshots.
They're very clean.
Yes.
So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Chest. I'll tell you what, that's been one of the best investments I've ever made. I've been through that game 4 times now, from front to back, top to bottom.
That's amazing.
Unlocking everything, because when you go through it, the second time you go through it, they have these little statues that you can unlock more players. I found myself practically possessed by this game, and it's a great action fighter, run around and just beat 'em up. It's a beat 'em up game, and it's technically decent. It looks good. It's got lots of combinations for attacks.
Well,
I don't know, man. It possessed me. I did nothing more for like 3 weeks than play Pirates of the Caribbean. So.
I know the wife, she just went through it twice and actually beat the game twice. So it must have been good if she did that. She was all proud of herself because it's one of the few games she's beaten, and she loved it. I mean, loved it so much that we had to go out and run out, and we got a newly acquired PS2, so she had to have the Pirates of the Caribbean game for the PS2 that just came out. It has nothing to do with Dead Man's Chest. I think she was slightly disappointed in comparison, which is kind of funny. The DS version she thought was actually a lot cooler. Because, I mean, she sat up in bed playing this, and she had a lot of fun with it.
It's a great game. We're going to review it for you in detail. That way we can tell you why it's so good in a later show. We don't want to sit and review the whole thing.
I think a lot of people probably kind of passed it up. And,
I think they did too, because
it's a movie game,
license.
Right? Exactly.
Come on.
But it came out pretty decent. I didn't play it as much as you have. I played it, probably just the first couple levels. I have to actually go back to it. I've been actually addicted to a few of the other games. Mainly, I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem lately, so that's been eating a lot of my time. And that's not even a DS game. But it's one of those games that's been on the back burner for me, and I got halfway through it the first time, and I lost track of it, so I started it from scratch. And now I got to go back and play this probably at some point. But yeah, I think by that point the movie will be out of the movies, out of the theaters, and the price will drop. It'll probably be a $20 game soon.
Yeah,
which is fine because
cool.
The game is actually pretty expensive. Didn't you pay $40 or something like that?
$34.99. Yeah. And actually, looking back at the amount of time I got out of that game, I don't feel ripped off.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Anytime that you can get like 3 weeks straight of gameplay like that, I mean, literally, there was nothing else in my DS but that Pirates game, and that's all I did. Whenever I'd have a free minute, I'd hop on, and the auto-save system keeps it so that, you don't have to, worry if you have to quickly shut off or something like that. So, I mean, anyway.
We'll discuss it in the review, but, you use that mentality in terms of how much, entertainment value you get for your dollar based on the movie theater model. You pay $9 a ticket.
Right.
You get 2 hours, if you're lucky, of entertainment, and plus you got to sit and watch a half-hour previews and commercials. You take you and your wife or your date with you. That's $18, $20 after the drinks and everything. So that's half of what this game is, and this game will give you much more time and value.
Gave me 3 weeks, man. I mean, I don't even know how many hours I played this thing because it was just.
Well, by the time we review it, I'll have it hopefully finished. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Then we can discuss the finer points. Also out now, Monster House, which we mentioned earlier. I'll tell you what, Monster House it's a THQ game, which should immediately tell you to run. But no, this was hyped up as the Smash TV of the generation.
Yeah, right.
And guess what? It's not Smash TV, folks. It's one of these. It's just like that Dino Masters, that Dig Discover Duel game, where basically it was kicks, Tato's kicks, but they totally dinked it by forcing you to use the touchscreen to move. That was like, what are you thinking? And this game is no different. If you have the buttons lined up in a 4-directional system like the DS, and the game is basically Robotron or Smash TV, you would let you move with one side and shoot with the other side. That makes so much sense, or at least give you an option to do that. But in this game, you are forced to move with one of the either the D-pad or the 4 buttons, and you're required to shoot using the touchscreen. You have to actually point on the touchscreen where you want to shoot.
But you don't have to tap it per shot, right?
No, you just hold
direct.
it down.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. And then
it's totally
your hand would probably run off course, so you would lose that little void there where you have to aim, right? Or is it pretty much the whole screen?
It's pretty much the whole.
So you
screen.
can point on an enemy and it'll fire in that direction.
Yeah. But there's also when you get low on water, which is your ammo in this game. When you get low, your shots don't go as far.
There's not as much pressure.
You know how when you run out of ammo, you can only shoot really slow in some games or whatever. This one, it shortens the path and slows down how fast you can shoot too.
So
it's like the game was totally freaking wasted. I was so upset. It's like you guys could have made Robotron here, and I would have. I mean, I don't care if it's Monster House themed. I just want a game that plays like Smash TV and Robotron.
So you're saying
we couldn't even get that.
Eugene Jarvis wouldn't be too proud of this game?
Eugene Jarvis, if he was dead, would be rolling, spinning in his grave like a Cuisinart at this. I was very disappointed.
Well, I would like to add that the GBA version has actually been getting a lot of praise because it's stolen fizzy lifting drinks from the Zelda series. Like if you played Minish Cap and you loved Minish Cap, or even Link to the Past, the update for that on the Game Boy, but more like Minish Cap, you're going to really get a kick out of this on the GBA. It's actually gotten some pretty decent reviews. It's a total ripoff of Zelda from everything from the way you interact with the game, lifting things, throwing things, your inventory. Where the whole way the screen's set up, where you have a door on each side of the screen. Kind of like the original dungeons from the old Zelda.
It sounds exactly like the original Zelda. Wow.
So check it out, for the GBA.
You might have to check that one out and not play this
one.
I
might want to avoid the DS one. Doesn't look too good.
Yeah, might have to run. Well, that kind of sums up what's coming soon and what's out now. I say we move on to the news. All right, on to the Touch and Go segment, the news from around the internet and around the world. We've got tons of stuff here. I mean, we've added some more stuff even since we started recording the show, so...
breaking news.
Yes, that's too funny. All right, Chris, take it away.
Nintendo is releasing a DS earpiece microphone headset in Japan on and around September 14th for about $10 US. I don't know how much it is in yen, I'm sorry. The company behind Max Media actually already has one out in the US already. I believe it's for both ears. I mean, it's not like a single ear headset, but it's going to have a little boom mic, and it's going to be used mainly for, I guess, the voice over IP kind of connection.
I would assume so.
The only game that I could see this working on currently would be the Metroid Prime Hunters.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but then again, you get the new Pokemon games getting ready to be unleashed in Japan. So, that's a big nuclear explosion right there.
Yeah, and Tony Hawk Downhill's supposedly going to allow you to have in-game chat while you're racing. Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, so we have a link on the site for that. A lot of people have probably seen it already, but we wanted to throw it out there because it's probably one of those little things that'll get lost in the shuffle. I don't think it's going to be a huge seller. It's going to be a white headset with the DS logo on the side. It looks like your just typical, boom microphone little headset.
Yeah, but what do you want for $10?
Yeah, it's going to be DS labeled and colored, so it'll match perfectly for you fashion types.
That's right. Yes, you're enjoying the iPod generation.
Yes. It's such a great thing to be. Okay, Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass is going to be getting delayed. It looks like early 2007 for now.
Not a big shocker there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole end of the year was getting to be a big gluttonous blob of releases as it is. I mean, it's probably a smart move because they're early spring, mid-year kind of, before summer, that little area there. It tends to be a little more quiet. So this game might be getting a benefit by being released in that time frame. It'll probably sell a little better. And a lot of other games, actually, if you look at it the opposite way, it's going to sell fine, but it's almost like they're going to give other games a chance not to be overshadowed by the power of Zelda, So,
yeah, exactly.
Like, obviously, Final Fantasy III, that'll be out. I'm sure people will be working on that for a while. Magical Starshine's going to be coming out. It's another RPG. And then we got the Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior, what is it? I forget the whole name of that game. With the something Rocket Slime, I think.
Rocket Slime, I like that.
That's going to be... Well, those little slimes,
for some reason, that sounds very sexual to me, and I don't.
Well, the little slimes are a real big part of that series. The little happy face slimes.
Rocket Slime. I don't know.
I don't know what rockets have to do with it, but that's going to be out. There's just going to be Yoshi Island 2 is going to be out. There's going to be so many games coming out, and especially in terms of RPGs, that it's probably just as well that this was released later on. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be upset about it, but hey,
and since when does Zelda ship on time anyway? Come
on. Zelda has never shipped on time.
Ships on time. You don't want to break that kind of tradition. That's bad luck.
Right. Maybe it'll be on a little gold DS card, too. That
would be way cool if they did that.
They need to start doing that stuff again.
They do need to do that stuff. I miss that stuff.
I mean, I guess it would have been hard to make a gold-plated GameCube disc.
Right. Well, they could have done something.
Yeah. Moving on, Animal Crossing has officially passed the 3 million mark in Japan.
It's insane, man.
Currently, it is dropping slightly in the rankings. I think it's actually out of the top 10 at this point.
Well, damn, it's been out for 2 years or something like that, right? Or
it's been out. It's been out for a long time, dude. I mean, this and Brain Age are just exploding over there. Mario, New Super Mario Brothers is pretty much right up there too. It's going to be hitting the 3 million mark at some point.
This is how you know you got a winner, man. When you have software that's passing 3 million, 4 million marks, people don't realize that's a huge number. This is like a triple platinum in the record industry. 1 million is like a platinum or a gold record. 3 million is just insane.
Crazy. I mean, every day somebody's getting a new DS in Japan. They're still hard to get a hold of over there, which leads to another news segment. The DS sales have officially reached 10 million in Japan alone.
You believe that?
So that means, nearly 10% of the Japan DS populace has one.
Yeah, let's not. I want to overstress that just a little bit more. In other words, if you're walking down the street and you see 10 people standing at a bus stop, one of them has a DS. Dude, that's insane. Who has that kind of market penetration anywhere, in any other country with any other product? None.
Crazy.
Not even iPods have that kind of penetration.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even with iPods, it seems like it's only in a certain. I don't know how it works, but there's a certain audience for it as well.
There is. It's sort of a niche of its own.
I mean, you see people with iPods of all ages, sure, but you're seeing a lot of DSs from a lot of. I mean, these aren't just kids with DSs either. I mean, for a video game system, that's insane. That's unparalleled. You got old people, you got old women, you got young women, you got middle-aged men, suits, from Japan, the high-tier guys. Everybody's just buying these things.
It's a classless, ageless platform. That's insane to me. I mean,
they've
that's
kind of
PFM.
recaptured the whole Famicom Japan craze that was once prevalent in that country.
That's why you see that animation with Miyamoto with the Nintendo DS shooting money out of the
Miyamoto
GBA slot.
and Iwata.
Iwata, man, it's just like money pouring out.
It prints money. It's fantastic.
Money. That's what it was. Yeah, that's great.
You will say wow.
You will say wow. And we did. Did you want to talk about that Final Fantasy III trailer before I do the?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a new Final Fantasy III trailer out. It's really sharp stuff. We get the link on the site. Hopefully, the link it's forwarding you to is still available at this time. It's a YouTube link, and they seem to kind of go on and off at random times these days.
They do.
And it starts out with some really nice CGI animation, which you can actually see right now in Metroid Prime Hunters. The whole intro, that's really nice stuff, especially in the light. It's very clean on this too. It's real good. You got the Chocobo little yellow big bird riding creatures. For those who don't really know what Chocobos are. I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan, but this looks fantastic. I mean, the graphics look really nice for the system. Everything it's detailed, but at the same time, it looks simplistic, which I like. I don't like a ton of stats and, micromanagement in my games anymore. I just don't have time for that. So anytime a game, comes out that doesn't have to deal with that is a plus for me,
Me too.
And I used to love these RPG games. I mean, when I was like, 14, 15, or 13, somewhere in there, playing Bard's Tale, Legacy of the Ancients, Dungeon Master, was it?
Yeah, Dungeon Master.
Yeah. And Eye of the Beholder, all those games, or the wonderful, the Forgotten Realms and Pool of Radiance.
All the gold box games from SSI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Right, of Kryn. Those games you always had to deal with like your management of your weapons and so forth. And I can't play this type of games nowadays. It's just there's too much time involved. And when something like that comes out for the DS, that kind of frees up some of my time a little bit because this is something I can kind of flip open and play. I'm really looking excited to this game. They took the old Final Fantasy III, and they've from the old Nintendo NES system, and they've just totally redone the graphics from the ground up, and it's a totally different looking game now. There's some side-by-side clips out there, some pictures that really demonstrate the upgrade that this game's been given. So you just check out the trailer. It'll tell a lot more than I could possibly tell you. There's just so much going on in it. Just really looking forward to trying this out. It's also a game that has not technically been released in America yet either.
That's all good stuff, man.
Yeah. Because I think the Final Fantasy III we got here was actually a rebranded Final Fantasy VI, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, I've never been able to follow that. That's like the succession of kings in England, dude. I could never. Literally, I mean, let's see. Final Fantasy III was really Final Fantasy VI, but it was not.
See,
blah, 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 blah.
I'm sure I'm wrong. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6. I'm sure somebody will correct us.
I was going to say, there'll be like 700 emails in our box. As
some Ubernet out there will be able to fill us in on some.
George Takei will actually write in.
Yes,
you're incorrect.
Yeah. I just thought I'd point out.
Sorry, we're on this George Takei kick. We'll be off of it pretty soon, trust me.
It happens once in a while.
Speaking of excitement, and this is, I know Chris is on the fence with this and it doesn't look fun to him. I am not a huge sport game fan. I like arcade-type games. I don't like real deep stats in my football games or my baseball games or anything. I like action games like
Twitch.
NFL Blitz. I loved NFL Blitz. I mean,
NFL Blitz was a good game. I used to have a ball with that.
games like NBA Jam, where there's all these hidden powers, and you can do all of these cool. You set the baskets on fire. Yeah, I mean those are cool stuff. And I've recently, honestly, only gotten into the whole Nintendo scene. For those of you who know me, know that I've never been a huge Nintendo fan until fairly recently. Now I'm rabid. And so I'm just now getting introduced to the,
Rabbit.
I've been recently introduced to the entire, infrastructure of Mario, the Koopa shells and, the mushrooms and the stars and all that. I mean, these things carry from game to game, and it's kind of refreshing to know that when you pick up a mushroom in any game that features Mario or mushrooms, that it's a good thing. There's some sort of
unless you play the Japanese version of Super Mario 2.
Okay, see, now don't start getting me confused. I'm just starting to get a hang of this. Yes, you were incorrect. You need to play Super Mario 2.
From Japan.
Because it's much different. The mushroom does not act the same.
Or poisonous. You'll shriek.
Well, see, they do have poison mushrooms in Mario Hoops, too, which is kind of cool. But they're different colored. I mean, it's not red and white.
Purple.
They're purple.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay. Anyway, to make a long story short, now that I've prattled on for like 5 minutes about this, I got a chance to look at Mario Basket 3-on-3, the import of Mario Hoops, and I'm telling you, first of all, not being a sports fan, a sporting game fan, take that into consideration. I'm not necessarily a huge Mario fan per se, and this game has got me like totally addicted to it. They have Square Enix, which, by the way, is really weird that Square Enix made an arcade basketball game using Mario characters. Is it just me, or is that the creepiest thing ever?
It's a little strange, but then again, Square Enix, which also, of course, makes Final Fantasy III, seems to have a really strong grasp on how to produce wonderful 3D graphics on the Nintendo DS compared to like somebody like EA Sports.
I'm telling you, I can honestly tell you right now, with being able to interpret Japanese in my very limited manner, there is absolutely nothing that I can say bad about Mario Hoops.
Wow.
The controls work exactly the way I want them to. The gameplay ramps up at exactly the right speed in terms of difficulty as I want it to. The gameplay itself is absolutely incredible. This is, to sum it up before we'll do a review of it, of course, but this is NBA Jam meets Mario Kart. You got weapon power-ups, you've got special secret moves to do. It's all in there. Everything that you would want in an arcade basketball game and in a Mario game, and it's done with such flair and style. You won't be able to get over it. It's like, this is incredible. It looks great. It sounds great. It plays great.
Does it give you the option to use the D-pad?
There is, that's the problem with the whole Japanese thing.
You mean you don't understand what it says?
You use the D-pad to move around. The only thing you actually use the touchscreen for is to dribble on question mark boxes. You dribble on your own. It dribbles by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Except for when you move over one of the question mark boxes that are embedded into the ground, you tap that and coins come out. When you actually make a basket, you get to collect those coins and it boosts the value of the basket.
Oh.
So you want to run around and gather coins.
Yes.
And, of course, if you get hit, if somebody comes and snatches the ball from you, all your coins fly out sort of like Sonic rings do in Sonic. And then you can collect the other person's coins. And then when you make a basket, the more coins you have in your possession, the more the basket's worth.
Nice. Sounds interesting.
Dude, I'm telling you,
spin on the sport.
It's unbelievable how cool this game is.
What else is cool is, I don't know if you know it, but you can actually unlock a lot of the Squaresoft characters in the game.
I heard about that. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Some Final Fantasy characters are actually in the game.
I heard that they're absolutely insane when you have to play against them. I've only gone through like the first 2 cups, and then I've played some solo stuff. I played some. There's also mini games in here too, which a lot of people haven't talked about. There's several mini games where you can play single card mini games, but you can't play single card basketball. I thought that was interesting of them to do that. So you can
probably
play the
too
mini
much going
games.
on in the game itself.
Dude, the engine's insane. The 3D engine is absolutely great.
Yeah, I got to ask you. I mean, I think we brought this up before. At least I have. There's no like little mini game version of like horse or pig or anything like that there, is it?
I did not see one, but then again,
It's Japanese.
I'm blindly fumbling through menus. But they have the mini games they do have are entertaining and fun. And again, they're single card play, so you get that extra value. You know what? I mean, take the mini games completely out of it, and the game kicks ass. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than the fact that it is one of the top games I'm waiting for it to come out here later on this month.
Great.
So
yeah, I got to check
good
that
stuff.
out.
That's good stuff.
I don't know how much I play of this because playing sports games by yourself, single player, just isn't that much fun. So
I understand the concept, and I'll tell you what, the AI is very good, and it ramps up properly. That's my biggest problem with AI. It's either too easy or too hard, or, it doesn't get hard at the right amount of time. You should be able to get hooked into a game without having the computer beat the living crap out of you.
Yeah.
So
and
many
they
games
need
are
some
like
kind
that.
of ease of level just to get you oriented. And
in the first cup you walk through, and you're sitting there going, oh, this is almost too easy. And if you read a lot of the import reviews, because the importers have only played it for like 20 minutes, it's like, oh, this game's too easy, I kicked the computer's ass. It's like, dude, what did you do? Play like the first game of the first cup?
kind of
I
like
had
with
like
the
700 points to 0 on the first game of the first cup. But, dude, you won't be pulling that crap when you get to the second cup. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the Princess Peach stuff, where they all chastise it for being too easy, but then, they've only played probably the first level or two, and then later on, it's not exactly the hardest game in the world overall, I grant it, but, it's not exactly a cakewalk either when you get to some of the later levels.
Hey, it was perfect for me, dude. I mean, I managed to finish it.
I mean, there's so many games where, I'll get really far into the game, and I'm thinking, wow, this is a lot of fun. It hasn't been, a cakewalk, but it hasn't been excruciatingly, evil either.
Right. Exactly.
And difficulty. And I get to one point where I get stuck, and I'm like, screw this, and I'll put it away. I'll never finish it. I mean, right now, like I'm on the PS2 and I'm on Shadow of the Colossus, and I'm really stuck on this one part of it, and mainly because the camera in the game, I'm sorry, sucks. I don't care what everybody says. The camera sucks. Everybody's defending the camera, and I'm thinking, dude, how can you defend a camera that's like 5 frames per second?
Right.
I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. I mean, I don't care how beautiful the game is. The camera is totally dorked in this game. But, it's hard because your enemy in the game is a freaking camera, which is ridiculous because I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and I can't do it because the camera won't cooperate.
Way too many games like that, man.
So it gets very frustrating, and I end up putting the thing on the back burner, and much like it is now, I haven't played it in like a week, or almost a week since I got, a couple days, I guess.
That's fun.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to this game. We'll have a big review, I'm sure, by the time it comes out, because I'm going to eventually get my hands on it. I'm going to wait for the U.S. version.
Yeah, smart move.
I mean, I tend to wait for the U.S. versions when I know there's a U.S. one coming, but I get tired of muddling through the Japanese menus.
It's only fun for a while to muddle through the Japanese and actually discover things.
Right.
Then it's like, okay, I'm tired of this. I just want to know
what am I
how to
doing
play
to
now.
myself? Yeah.
This is torture.
For a game that I know is coming out, that's when
it's
something else that I know isn't coming out here, then I'll make the effort to kind of play around and fiddle through it.
Even if it's like 4 or 5 months out, it's like, okay, I really want to play this, so we'll work on it.
There's so many games though.
But there's so many games. It's not like you're hard up. It's not like the only way to get a good DS game is to import it.
Yeah, right.
No. Hello. All right, moving along. There have been a lot of reports, and I think this might scare a few people, about problems with the DS Lite. And there have been different reports. Of course, the dead pixel thing is always, with any LCD technology.
Yeah, any LCD technology.
You've got the dead pixel thing. People have reported one of the screens being yellowish. Some people say that the touch screen shifts around a little bit. They're having trouble with diagonals with the new D-pad. And finally, the hinges on the right and left side of the unit crack or are cracked when they buy them. And we just want to give you a quick thing about how to handle problems with your DS Lite. First of all, if you're at all worried, if you're still on the fence, you're one of these listeners that don't even have a DS and you're still listening to the show, or maybe you have a DS Classic or a Fat, as they're calling it, and you're wondering whether you should move to the Lite, these are some of the things that you may encounter, and I wanted to let you know how to get around these things. First of all, if you're at all worried about these sort of things, buy local. Go to Walmart. Go to Target. Go to a big chain store, because if you buy it and there's anything at all wrong with it, they're going to take it back without question.
eBay.
Yeah, don't buy it from eBay.
Play
don't buy
Asia.
it from Amazon or Play Asia, because you know what? You're going to be
You're
2
stuck.
weeks without it. I mean, even if they do decide to take it back, buy local. I mean, I don't normally advocate that, but in this case, give Walmart a taste of its own medicine. Go buy it at Walmart, and if there's anything wrong with it, take it back. You're good.
I mean, it's good. And I think most of these stores offer a 30-day, 2-week return policy. Target actually offers 90 days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, you scream just a little tiny bit at Walmart. I mean, just look a little bit upset, and if it's greater than 30 days, they're still going to take care of you. Trust me.
And in that case, you barely even have to have the receipt.
You probably could get away without having a receipt. I mean, literally, that's what these big...
You could bring it in with a dog turd on it, and they'd probably still take it.
Dude, I've got great stories about the whole Walmart thing, but suffice to say that if you're worried about any of these possibilities, buy local. Handle it locally, and you'll be a happier person. Now, let's say that, for example, you're out of your warranty, or you bought it on Amazon, whatever. You didn't get a chance to hear the show before you bought, and now you've got a dead pixel. How do you handle it? Well, I'm telling you. A lot of people, if you call Nintendo and you ask them about the dead pixel, chances are likely
leave that in.
Yeah, I should have kept that in. We paused for a sneeze break, folks. If you call Nintendo, they're going to give you a little bit of a runaround, because obviously the less they can service these things, the less it's going to cost them. And that's just good business. I'm not going to blame Nintendo for that. If you call them, especially for the dead pixel, this seems to be the biggest issues, the dead pixel. The cracked hinge, they're not going to ask twice about. The yellowish screen, they're probably going to say, well,
Well, the yellow screen seems like it's a normal thing. I mean, a lot of people have them. I think it's just a process of the technology. There are some people, they actually had a side-by-side comparison. A guy took a picture of his DS and somebody else's DS where the one doesn't have a yellowish screen.
Yeah,
but
mine
the difference,
doesn't have it, thank God.
I think mine does. Mine does to a point. It's
Really?
only yellowish if you have a full-fledged white background, and it's only on the bottom screen. It's mainly like when you first turn on the DS and you get your little logos, or you're in that little OS screen, so to speak, the GUI, before you start a game, because it's a lot of white going on there. Now, the thing is, though, in these differences of the pictures that I've seen, the people with the yellowish screen tend to have a brighter top screen. Whereas the people who have no yellowish screen tend to have two dimmer screens in general. So it's really weird stuff. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily a fault in this in the whole process. I mean, the thing works fine, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even notice it. If I'm in a game like with where there's a lot of action going on in both screens, and the screens tend to be a little darker anyway. Yeah. Like something like I was playing Magnetica yesterday, or Metroid Pinball. I was playing them when I was waiting for my car yesterday at the dealer, and I didn't notice. I didn't even think a thing about it. Second thoughts. So it's really one of those things where you got the whites. You may even have it. You may not even notice it. It's very
exactly.
Unless you know it's there, you're not even going to notice it. And it also, I don't know if the screen protectors have something to do with it either.
Yeah, I mean, I expect there to be a small distortion in my bottom screen, even though I've got one of the transparent screen protectors. I still expect there to be some sort of a difference because of the screensaver. So that may be the case. In any event, if you come across something screen-related, Nintendo, because of the cost of the screens being probably the most expensive piece of the technology, they're going to say, yeah, you got a dead pixel. We understand that's a problem.
Is it really bothering you?
Why don't you play it for a couple of weeks, and then if it's still bothering you, call us back. Now, dude, that is classic bait-and-switch rebate stuff, right? You buy something because it has a $20 rebate, and they're hoping that you never turn in the rebate. Well, it's the same idea. They're giving you, they're blowing you off, they're shining you on for 2 weeks, and they figure that a lot of people aren't going to call back. So that's a standard put-off technique. Now, here's the secret, because you're talking to somebody here that has dealt with dead pixels and other problems with Nintendo several times, and I know how I know how this works. What you do, you call up, you get to the technical support, and here's what you say, flat out. Listen, I've had my DS for a few weeks now. When I opened the box, it came out with a dead pixel. it's, at this part of the screen. Hopefully it's in the middle because then you can make this story sound better. Yeah, I got this dead pixel and it's here on the screen. And I'm telling you, I thought I would play it for a while to see if it wouldn't bother me, but it's been a couple weeks, and my eye keeps focusing on it. It starts to give me headaches if I play for too long. Can you guys replace the screen? At that point in time, they're just going to take it and they're going to do it. So make sure that you let them know, one, that you've had it for a few weeks and you've tried it. Two, that it's causing you some undue stress. It's giving you a headache. Your eye's always focused to it. And believe me, they won't give you any runaround at that point. They'll be like, oh, alrighty then, sir. Blah, 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 blah. No. So that's how you get around Nintendo's, shine on policy.
And then if they even say to you, why don't you give it a couple weeks, just tell them, well, this is already the second time I've called about this. I've tried that.
Absolutely. There you go. And like I said,
it's just cool that they're doing this in the first place, too. It's just nice that they're doing it. I mean, Sony doesn't want to hear anything about it.
Oh, man. Did you see, just a little side story here, but did you see when the PSPs first came out, the Sony PlayStation Portables, Target, I think they still have it up in some stores at their return window. There has to be a certain number of dead pixels before Target would take back the PSPs.
I think it's like 10.
Yeah, it was something like 10. I'm going, damn. That's harsh that they actually, came up with a number that said X amount have to be dead.
See, that's the thing, though. I mean, it's one thing if you're dealing with, I don't know, a 42-inch TV or something, or a 17-inch monitor on your computer. These are tiny little screens, even on the PSP.
Yeah.
In light of the fact that you've got so many other bigger screens out there, these are really small screens. So when you get a bunch of pixels, or even one on one of these smaller resolution screens, it stands out a lot more than, say, maybe your 17-inch widescreen laptop screen would.
Exactly.
So
yeah, so it's not like you're not going to see it. It's going to be there. And Nintendo's just trying to do the smart business thing. It's hard to get uptight with them for that.
Yeah.
But they will take care of you. And if you don't want to jump through the hoops, because there's a lot of people who are like, oh, if they call me on it, then I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say, okay.
Well, Nintendo's usually been pretty good. Nintendo's usually pretty good with customer relations.
You know what? I only here when I got my first couple of DSs that had some pixel problems and a weird screen problem, which to date I still haven't heard of anybody else that's had it other than me. They were really good. I mean, I got advanced shipments. I mean, they sent me a new one before I had to send them the old one. I mean, they really bent over backwards. Even the time, and this is funny. This is really funny. They sent me a Game Boy Micro instead of one of my DSs.
That's funny.
I'm looking at this box going, man, this is a really small box for a DS. And I open up, there's a freaking Micro in it. So at least I got to try the Micro out for a couple of days before I shipped it back. So I thought, hey, that's sort of nice. I got a try before you buy plan from Nintendo.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, if there are common problems with any new product, and this is no different. At least the power supplies aren't catching fire, or your cartridges aren't being chewed up as you take them out, that sort of thing. So these are pretty passive problems, folks, and Nintendo will take care of you. Yeah, you like my little poke there at Microsoft?
I thought maybe at first when you said I thought you were talking about Dell.
Oh yeah, that's good, dude.
Did you see that? Recalling 4 million Dell laptops due to the batteries exploding.
I know, isn't that great? I mean, what, dude? How much therapy do you need after that? You're sitting there typing away on a letter. You're surfing the net. And, dude, the freaking laptop blows up on your lap, dude. I mean, literally. I mean, there was a lawsuit I just heard about where some McDonald's employee wouldn't let this old black woman come use their bathroom without buying something, and she got $900,000 for that.
Funny.
I mean, imagine what Dell would be liable for when this freaking thing blows up on your lap. I can't have children anymore because my Dell blew up on my lap.
Yoga fire,
million, please.
Yoga flame.
Oh, man, this just...
Balls of fire!
Yeah, balls of fire have a totally different meaning now if you have a Dell laptop. All right, well, it's enough having fun at Dell's expense. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we just wanted to warn everybody. We've had a couple people ask, about this Nintendogs Dalmatian and Friends. This is all the same stuff, folks. This is the gotta catch 'em all bit from Nintendo, and you almost want to say shame on you, but, you got to look at it this way. That was the first thing I thought, too. because basically every Nintendogs pack is the same set of dogs. They just unlock certain ones of them first. So you start off with 6 breeds and you can unlock 6 more. Every single game is, has a different set of 6 to unlock, and this is no different. Dalmatians was one of the hard unlockables on the early Nintendogs. Now you can start with the Dalmatian breed. But you got to look at it this way, folks. With the DS Lite coming out, and this is the only reason I excuse this, with the DS Lite coming out, there's a lot of new people to the DS market. Now, granted, this means nothing to us. I literally have 3 copies of Nintendogs for my family because we all wanted our own copy. And so we each got a different breed set. So I got like Labrador, my kid got Chihuahua, and my wife got the other one. So, but in this case, you have a choice of which ones to start off with. New DS Lite owners.
And then the Dalmatian is right there from the start.
From the start, you don't have to unlock it.
So you lucky people don't have to work trying to get a Dalmatian in your game.
Yeah. So
and this goes right into our other news segment too, by the way.
It does.
Yes, that we missed earlier on our list here.
Did we miss one? Oh yeah,
Sims
we did.
2.
How about that?
Sims 2 Pets.
The Sims 2 Pets.
EA is getting into the Nintendogs bandwagon here.
Everybody is too. Ubisoft is too.
Oh yeah. Aren't they bringing out like
dogs
a update
and cats and hamsters and
living together, mass hysteria. Yeah.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
So everybody's jumping on the Nintendogs bandwagon. They're all bringing their own little virtual pets to the system.
Yeah, might as well cash in now, man. I mean, they're only a year late. Nintendogs is already come and gone, man.
Maybe you'll get your wish, the 10 ferrets.
Dude, I'm telling you what, if Sims 2 Pets has a ferret in it, I am totally there. And by the way, the whole EA thing I was talking about earlier about EA having exclusivity in different versions, Sims 2 Pets for the DS allows you to, get this, groom, clean, and play with your pets. Imagine that. It's exactly like stealing fizzy lifting drinks from Nintendogs.
I don't see what's so exclusive about it, since you can already do that in Nintendogs.
Exclusive.
I mean, it'd be different if you could like run your own little breeder, and like get a Schnauzer and have them have some fun with a Dalmatian.
The Shih Tzu and the Bulldog. It'd be perfect. Yeah.
They get a Schnauz Nation,
Schnauz Nation. That's nice.
That'd be funny.
Anyway,
make your own little laboratory.
We thought we'd save you guys the $29 and let you know it's the same stuff. Same stuff, different box. Star Fox Command, which, by the way, again, like Mario Hoops, I've been playing the import, and I am totally hooked on that game, too. It's a toss-up. I actually have to flip a coin to decide whether I'm going to play Star Fox or Mario Hoops. Star Fox, by the way, is a great multiplayer game. A lot of people know that I like to throw down at work. We've got like 4 people that have DSs, so we're always looking for the next great throwdown game, something that has a lot of action. We played Mario Kart for months. But this is it, dude. This is the next great throwdown title. We've been playing it single card, 2-player, 3-player. Fantastic. But we got a new commercial for you off YouTube, of course, that will give you a little more meat on the game. And it comes out, I believe, later this month, around the 28th. So
yep.
It's happy birthday to me. My birthday's on the 25th, and I've got like 7 games I have to buy. So that's my birthday present.
Money.
Money. So I'm going to need my DS to start printing money if I'm going to keep feeding it.
So how is the multiplayer? Is it a pretty decent dogfighting?
The multiplayer is great. Now you know how most of dogfighting with 2 people really sucks. It's like
Top Gun.
I chase you, you chase me. I chase you, you chase me. It's real boring. But the dogfighting works like this. At least on single card. I haven't figured out how to do the whole multi-card thing yet. I'm the only one that's got it, so we have to play single card anyway. But they put you in a big arena, like either over mountains and space, over a cityscape. The graphics are great. And you do battle. You have a certain amount of shield, right? And once you're out of shield, you blow up, and all of your crap blows up out of you. If you've got good weapons or whatever, then when you die, all your crap blows up. So all of your stuff is there for the other guy to pick up. Now here's something interesting. When you make the kill, you don't get the point for it right away. When you kill the other guy, a star pops out of his wreckage. You have to get the star.
I thought you were going to say rectum.
Yeah, the star pops out of his rectum. Yeah, the show just goes downhill the longer we record, folks.
My fault. My bad.
Yeah, it's Chris's fault, though.
Sorry, I'm trashing
anyway,
the show.
If you don't pick up the star, you don't get the kill, and the star doesn't hang around forever.
What if and then another opponent grabs his star? Will that be his kill?
He gets the kill.
Wow. Hey, that's cool.
That is way cool.
Kind of cheap, though, but...
It's kind of cheap, but now there's a couple of weapons that really make things interesting. You've got a couple different types of lasers you can pick up, which is cool. They both have different powers. You can pick up a thing. I still don't know what this thing does. It looks like some sort of I don't know, it looks like a little sun, and I still haven't figured out what it does yet. You can pick up bombs, which are cool, because you drag the bombs onto your radar and drop them, and that's where the bomb blows up. It's pretty cool. And then finally you have an invisibility cube. Now let me tell you, or it's not a cube, it's a tetrahedron, whatever. Pyramid. There we go. It looks like a pyramid. You pick this guy up and you're instantly radar invisible. So you can't see the dude on the radar. You can still see line of sight. It's just like a cloaking device.
So the bottom screen is that your radar?
That's your radar and your control panel.
And you can see where all your opponents are.
And you can see all the opponents, all the weapons.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's great. You can
so you're not just aimlessly flying around looking for people, which is kind of cool.
That's right. You can actually see. Now, if they're invisible,
I like that.
You can see them if you're in line of sight, but you can't see them if they're on the radar. You can't see them on the radar. Right. And, of course, it times out after a while. It's not like you stay invisible forever. And, of course, once somebody starts shooting at you and they're invisible, you can lock in on them. So, nice. It's well balanced. I was afraid that, invisibility was going to really cheapen the game. Basically whoever gets the invisibility first gets the kill. But
it's almost like an invincibility, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not, though. It's really cool. You can collide with each other. You can collide with the mountains and the cityscapes and things like that. You can do barrel rolls. You can do loops, which is really cool, to slip somebody and you pop up behind them.
And you were saying before that you're not exclusive to the sky either, right? I mean, you can actually come down to ground level.
Absolutely.
So you can actually get a kind of a point of altitude.
Yeah. See, like Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron to me was one of the best flying shoot 'em up games because, unlike X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and some of the other games that get the high accolades, there's a sense of flight when there's a ground below you. If you're in space and the only thing that passes you is a star every now and then, there's absolutely zero illusion of flight to me. Maybe it's just me. Other people don't seem to mind it. It bothers me to no end. But in this game, except for one of the levels, and one of the levels you do play in space, but most of the other levels, like I said, you're over volcanoes, you're over a city, you're over mountains, and you can actually fly through the valleys. It's totally cool.
That's awesome. So you have a reference point to how high you are, and
yes,
and then I would think when you get down to the mountains and everything, you could pretty much figure, well, you could lead your opponent into the mountains and make them collide. And
I totally do that when somebody's chasing
really cool.
me. I slide into the valleys and hope I can shake him. Because, nice. You can lock onto your opponent, and the harder the lock is that you get on, the more damage you cause them. So you've got to move that around. So it's a great game. I mean, I was really skeptical, and I'm coming from a non-Star Fox background, which gives me an advantage, I think.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who are big into Star Fox, this may not be the Star Fox that they know and love. And it may bother them that it bears the Star Fox name, but I urge anybody that gets into this, just pretend it's not called Star Fox. Pretend that it's space shoot 'em up game or whatever you need to get past the fact that this isn't the Star Fox I grew up with, because this game owns outside of the name. It's definitely worthy of being a great AAA title. I'm just worried because I don't know enough about the old Star Fox that people are going to really resent the fact that it's not on rails and it doesn't.
See, that's
have
the big beef. The big beef was always that the original SNES Star Fox and even the N64 Star Fox, which was its first quote unquote true sequel.
Right.
They both had kind of an on rails kind of thing, which really actually played very well. And a lot of people feel like the recent GameCube Star Fox Assault, it was kind of a free flight kind of thing, and it really kind of ruined what the game was about, and it doesn't help that, Rare originally helped put these games together, an offshoot of Argonaut. Actually, Argonaut was the one who did it. What am I saying? Rare did the Star Fox Adventures, And they created the whole technology for doing the Mode 7 effects with the 3D, the super effects, and I think a lot of people are filled with a lot of nostalgia for the old game. They don't want to see this new one come along and kind of ruin, what they hold so dear. Because the first game was an immensely popular game. In my opinion, I'm mostly looking forward to the whole multiplayer dogfight. I think that's going to be a blast.
Oh,
and I
man,
think
and the fact that you can
online.
Wi-Fi it?
It's going to be
man.
online, yeah. So
I'm telling you, we're going to be doing a lot of dogfighting, dude. You and me.
Yeah, it's
I'm
going to be
having
a
great
lot
time
of fun.
with it.
I can't wait.
I'm stoked, dude. Anyway, moving along.
We'll move on because we spent way too much time on it, and eventually we're going to have a nice review for it.
We're going to have a nice review.
And
I know a lot of people say, well, that was the review.
That was kind of a review there, yeah.
Yeah, but there's so much stuff that I can't tell you about because I can't read Japanese. So.
And plus, you were mostly talking about the multiplayer aspect, too. So
Yeah. The solo thing we didn't even talk about. So. Dead and Furious, we have a video that got leaked, and this is funny. When it comes to zombies, bring them on. I mean, I like zombies. I like to kill zombies, especially when you can, take them apart a limited time.
For Shane, it's zombies or mutant hillbilly hicks. If you have either of them.
Mutant hillbillies, and I am in pig freaking heaven. So I'm excited about the concept of Dead and Furious. After seeing this video, though, I was considerably less excited, to be generous.
No, really?
Yeah, I know. No, believe it or not.
Seriously.
Now, in all fairness, though, in all fairness to the video and to the game, apparently this video is leaked video from a year and a half ago. That doesn't mean it's any better now, but just understand, we're going to give you a link to the video. When you watch the video, just remember this is according to the developer, could be a lie, could be not true, that it's a year and a half old.
So it means it's probably pre-negative minus alpha version or something like that.
Yeah, pre-alpha, who knows? All
Here,
I know
was on the crapper
I
and
want a
looked
game
this
where
up
I can
version.
shoot. I want to shoot damn zombies, and this so far is going to be my only way to do it, and let's hope it doesn't suck. It probably will.
I think it probably will. I'm sorry to say it.
I know.
I'm not getting very strong thoughts on this game. And like I was going to say before, I'm not even in the fence on this one. I'm kind of in the yard already.
He's already in the yard heading over to the neighbor's house.
Yeah. Looking for my basketball.
Looking for your basketball in the neighbor's yard. Get the little robot to open the gate for you. Let's see here. Oh, there's apparently a problem with using the Nintendo Wi-Fi dongle with homebrew applications, and a lot of people are really into homebrew. We're going to give you a little update on that in a minute. But apparently the Wi-Fi dongle doesn't work very well with homebrew applications. So somebody figured out what hardware that the dongle is based off of and came up with a way that you can change that Nintendo DS dongle into basically a soft wireless access point. So that allows you to get on with your PSP, with your laptop, with your DS or whatever. It's not for the faint of heart, but for those of you who are interested in turning, your $30 dongle into an access point, which you probably should have just bought an access point to begin with, but
doesn't
not
make
everybody's
sense.
listening to the show from the beginning. What's that?
Which wouldn't make any sense. I mean,
right.
The whole dongle thing is kind of a little strange to begin with.
I do bring mine when I travel because I can throw it into my
That's the only real
computer.
benefit, I think.
So I don't know. But anyway, so if you're interested in turning your dongle into a Wi-Fi access point, we'll give you a link to show you how to do it. The Cyclone DS Lite charger stand. Now, first of all, folks, I am not one of these people that get all excited about lights and things like that. These PC cases that have Michael Knight Rider frickin' lights on it, and these lighting fans and all of this goop. This what do they call it? What do the kids call that? Yeah, toothpaste. No, the
toothpaste
flare.
plaster.
The flare.
Oh, yeah. It's so obnoxious.
It's obnoxious. These things light up. The keyboards light up. There's lights flying
dude,
all over the place.
When my hard drive accesses, it looks like a freaking Cylon, man.
Yeah, man. You remember Battlestar Galactica, man?
Man.
My when I turned my computer on,
Yes, Battlestar Galactica.
That was a good show, but
that was our arch enemy back in the time when we were in syndication.
So, anytime I see anything that lights up, I immediately run, because to me that's like uber gay. But now the Cyclone, this DS Lite charger, now we're always looking for new ways to charge our DS Lites, especially the fact that I have 5 DS. Well, I don't have 5 DSs in the house anymore. I sold a couple, but I have all these DS power packs all over the place, and not a single one of them will power my DS Lite. So I'm always on the lookout for new ways to charge my Lite. And of course, I've got the power supply that came with it, but I bought a USB charger that I could take to work and a car charger and all this crap. So I'm always looking for some new way of not having to drag something out from under my desk or plugging it into the USB or whatever. So I saw this DS Lite charger stand. We're going to give you a link. And it looks like one of those copy holders. It looks like just a little, it looks like something you put mail in, to be honest.
A napkin holder.
There you go, a napkin holder.
That's what it looks like to me.
It looks exactly like a napkin holder, but you basically take your DS Lite, you turn it upside down, you plop it onto this charger base. It's like...
and then all the magic begins. All the lights come on.
The lights come on.
You won't be getting to sleep tonight.
Yeah, no sleep because didn't you say that you keep your charger in the bedroom?
Yeah, well, I have mine coming up behind my nightstand, so that I have my phone and my DS charger wire just kind of coming over the back of the nightstand, so I can just plug them in and go. I have everything tucked away behind, and I actually have to kind of tilt the DS away from me, or my phone. I flip that upside down because I can't have any light whatsoever, distracting me.
Yeah, this
I
would
have
not
to
be
have
for
perfect
you.
darkness. Yeah, see, this would not be for me. I don't want to disco at night while I'm in there sleeping.
Right. John Travolta in bed with you.
But I mean, when I first heard the word Cyclone charger, I'm thinking, wait a minute, what is this thing? A fan? To cool the thing off? Like for the
DS Lite fan.
Yeah, because I mean,
runs on 12 AA's.
Right, like the power supply for the 360 or something.
Right, exactly. So nice. So anyway, I'm not usually, like I said, one to gush, but this looks kind of cool. I still don't own one yet, but I thought we'd share.
You will.
I will, because there's a lot of people I know that have that, like Chris said earlier. What'd you say? Fashion.
Oh yeah, because it comes in 3 different colors. You get your shiny white, your shiny powder puff blue, and your shiny black.
There you go.
If you're lucky enough to have a black DS, that the UK has, you're going to fit right at home. Everything's going to match. Everything's going to look kosher, and you'll feel even cooler. Yes, you'll be accessorizing the cool way.
That's right.
That only a man can do.
Only a man can accessorize.
Well, I have a certain upkeep to keep up with. I have a certain metrosexual way of doing things. I must have my.
Yes.
I need my Cyclone light charger to be the exact same color as my DS Lite.
Well, there you go. Now you can have one.
Yes.
Yes. So moving along, we'll leave it to Kay here at the door.
I'm sorry, he keeps popping up.
I know, dude. I can't. Every time I hear his voice, I just have to do it like all day. Opera came out, the Nintendo DS browser that many people have been waiting for, including myself, showed up in Japan. We know that it's not very import friendly, so save your cash.
There's no English involved.
There's not a lot of English going on in there, so you might want to stay away from that. The European release comes out, is it September or October? Do you remember?
I think it was the end of September. I want to say September 25th or something.
And I'm thinking that we're going to get it about the same time. So we're going to hold off. We're not going to talk about it. We know a whole bunch of stuff about it right now, but we're going to wait to see the U.S. version. And we'll let you know.
I mean, the thing is, there's plenty of news sites out there that already have it going on. I mean, if anything, by now, everybody's probably seen the videos.
Oh, yeah.
It's
so
all over the
probably
place.
Plenty about it. We're going to review it, of course.
What's really bothering me, though, is a lot of these previews. These guys are trying to load up their own websites, like OneUp. OneUp did a review for it, and they're loading up their own site. And it's like, dude, your site barely loads up on my freaking laptop as it is. Yeah, you got so much. It's such a poorly designed website. I don't even know anything about web design, really. I mean, but just the way it loads, you got ads in every orifice of the site. You got so much crap going on. What do you expect? I mean, it seems like it takes 5 minutes just to load on my freaking Centrino laptop here, much less a DS. And then he's like, oh, as you can see, it's very slow at loading our site. Well, duh.
It's slow loading on freaking cable, man, and this is like Wi-Fi access, you bonehead.
I mean, it's obvious. I knew going into this that the Opera DS browser was going to pretty much be working like your typical PDA, Windows Internet Explorer, for the Pocket PC kind of thing. Everything was going to be pretty minimal. I mean, it's lowbrow stuff. You're not going to get.
What do you expect, man?
You're not going to get a turbocharged browser. Everything's just going to instantly pop up on. I mean, come on. It's the DS. It's not some super system. I mean, even the PSP doesn't perform that fast.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's a little nuts. I mean, I know my main benefit to even attempting to get this Opera DS browser would be to check my mail and then maybe check some of the lower key news sites. There's plenty of news sites out there that cut through all the crap, like CNN, without all the you don't need all the flash, you don't need all the Java crap going on.
Yeah, I love how they bitch about that. Look, there's no flash ads, and I'm sitting there going, yay!
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
the Game Informer video. The guy's like, well, normally there'd be a flash advertisement here, but
we're not
see
getting any of that because the
going,
Opera GS browser sucks.
Dude, you know what? That's like a bonus. That's a benefit.
Yeah,
you
that's
take
an
away
advantage
flash,
to me.
you don't have to actually look at all these freaking ads,
everybody's
man.
bitching about the lack of flash, the lack of video, and I'm
The
thinking,
lack
well,
of sound.
think
audio.
about
It's
it.
like,
90% of the flash and video on sites is for advertising reasons.
and it's going to get worse.
Right.
So,
I mean, I know one of these sites I go through to for some news sometime, which is really cool. Is this? It's mostly text based, and they'll have like one picture. It's perfect. I mean, it gives you all the news without all the crap going on. And if you really do want the videos, and go to CNN at home or something. But when you're on the go, and if you're just sitting there waiting like I was yesterday for my car to get done in service, you could load it right up with the local Wi-Fi. They got Wi-Fi in the dealer room, so I could have been sitting there reading the news yesterday. It would have been so cool.
Exactly. And
Checking my
tons of
Gmail.
sites have mobile content now. Google's got a mobile page.
There's mobile versions of the sites. They're all the same information without all the bull crap.
Yeah, I actually sometimes, believe it or not, I actually use at home. I actually go to the mobile versions of the sites because they're not filled with crap.
Yeah.
I've got Opera at home. I can zoom the screen 200% and make the mobile content bigger. And there's there's no ads, there's no giant graphics loading at the top. There's no.
How can you complain about that?
Dude, I'm sitting here going, yay!
Yeah. Yay!
Yay! So anyway, we'll give you more information.
Yeah.
How did we manage to talk like 5 minutes about Opera when we said
because
we were going to?
the whole topic was what do we know? So
What do we
there
know?
you go.
So there you have it.
Not much, obviously.
The homebrew market is blowing up. I mean, it is expanding at a huge rate. People are getting the hang of the homebrew development kits. We now have things, we've mentioned in the past things like Be Up and DS Organize, and I'm telling you, now we've even got more stuff. We've got a application class MSN browser or MSN client with Be Up, which looks incredible. It's got freaking avatars and everything else. It's huge. DS AIM came out. We actually can get on AIM now, which is far more important to me than MSN. I know like 2 people on MSN. I know like 60 on AIM. So
nice.
The fact that I can now hop on AIM,
yeah,
it's not as polished.
AIM's something I can't seem to get to work right on my browser. I don't know what the story is. Ever since I moved in and got the new connection going, I seem to be having some trouble again with my connection.
Yeah.
So.
I got it to work, though. I got it to work very well, and I'm very pleased, even though it doesn't save your name and password or anything yet. These are really early versions, but the homebrew scene is just expanding like mad.
Big time.
I mean, there's games, there's IRC chat clients, there's
look at the hot new one right now. I mean, in terms of games, was the release of DS Doom. So, we got Doom on here now. It plays fantastic.
Play Doom. And it plays really good.
I mean, there's not even anything, even if you want to look at it from a legality standpoint, it's nothing illegal because you're playing. You can play the shareware version, which was free. It's like the first 10 levels of the game.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been trying. It's fantastic. I was hooked on it the other night.
Yeah, I know.
It runs flawlessly.
It's funny how fast time goes by when you're playing Doom. It's like you're sitting there, I'm just going to play this level through, blah, 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 blah. Like 30 minutes later, you're going, damn it. I spent 30 freaking minutes playing Doom on my DS. What's that about?
Oh, it's fantastic. You can save it and everything. It takes up the whole screen. The bottom screen it doesn't do anything. It's all D-pad controlled. But then again, that's how Doom was played anyway. I mean, everybody played Doom with their directional pad anyway. Back in the day, Doom was never played with a mouse. I mean, it just wasn't the same with the mouse. I mean, because you didn't have a free look option anyway. So
yeah, there's no free look, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, plays great though.
Great. So homebrew scene is getting really good, and so you might want to start thinking about whether or not you want to get into homebrew, because there's just, MP3 players, everything. So good stuff. We got a note from our buddies over at Atlas that Bomberman Touch is coming out soon. It's going to be a Wi-Fi capable version of Bomberman. Not only the original game from what it looks like in the press release, but also tons of mini games that are going to be playable.
Cool.
With the Bomberman theme. That looks pretty good. The screenshot
It almost looks like
solid.
a Bomberman party kind of thing.
Yeah, sign me up, dude. I cannot have enough freaking party games on the DS.
Sweet.
Make them happen, man.
We got a link to that. Check it out.
We got a link for you to check that out. Also, some other classics are getting the DS treatment, including Broderbund favorite Lode Runner, which is great stuff. There's supposedly going to be a couple different modes of play, including the classic edition of Lode Runner, as well as a puzzle-solving mode where they take away the timer and the enemies, and you just got to figure out how to solve the level on your own. So that sounds like a lot of fun. We'll have pictures, actually, don't we? We have a link for them now.
Yeah, we just scooped up a link recently. It's got a lot of screenshots. It looks really nice.
It looks great. I can't wait. I love Lode Runner. And Earthworm Jim is apparently Sega Genesis favorite Earthworm Jim is getting a DS port. We don't know much about that at the moment, but anytime we can get some more classic games coming their way to the DS, sign me up. Hey, nice. Speaking of classic gaming on the DS, you've got a great little tidbit here to talk about, don't you?
Well, in Nintendo, and I think we brought this up in one of the past shows, they have it's called the Nintendo Club, and every game you get from the Nintendo library for any of the systems, it depends on the system, DS, Game Boy, GameCube, you get points inside the game. And if you've imported or have any, you have ONDAN, right? So
yeah.
Did you notice the little Nintendo Club card inside the package? You have one.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, so you might want to open up your box and check it out. It's a little red Mario hat, and depending on what system you bought the game from, you get a certain amount of points. Obviously, the higher priced GameCube games give you more points compared to, say, a Game Boy Advance game would. Anyway, they got this really cool kind of exchange thing over there where you get the points and you can trade them in for some really nice exclusive Nintendo products that you can't get anywhere else. Now, it's a real shame that Nintendo of America isn't adopting the similar thing. On their website, you can register games left and right, and it doesn't seem to really get you anywhere.
Don't you have the pink Kirby stylus?
Oh my God! I totally forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah, real exciting.
Yeah,
so, other than that and some surveys, we're getting a real shaft over here.
We are.
I think we had the Zelda demo disc at some point. Oh, wow.
Yay.
I'm going to have to find the link. I'm going to put it up on the news. We'll add that into this news segment. You can check out the amazing stuff that we're missing. I mean, this stuff is just incredible. One of the things was a Mario hat shaped DS case.
Isn't that great?
It's totally
I love that
cool.
Little Mario beret.
Yeah, and then it had a little zipper. You put the DS in, and the other cool thing was a DS game bookends. The same hat. It was kind of like an opaque, see-through plastic red bookends with little shelves in them that extend and expand.
Nice.
That you can lay the games in and have a nice little. The one big thing, though, and this is going to be a hot commodity later on, I have a feeling, because it's already going on eBay for $75, $150 for this.
Damn.
It's the Game & Watch collection, which for 500 points, you'll get this. It's in a typical DS box. It's a gold front, very simplistic design. And it contains 3 of what were roughly 60 actual Game & Watch device games that Nintendo put out in the 80s. But there's only 3 in this set. You have Manhole. Is it Manhole? Oh, my God,
no,
I lost
Oil
my list.
Panic, Greenhouse.
Oil Panic, Greenhouse, and Donkey Kong.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, I don't know how Manhole got in there. Excuse me.
I don't know.
I lost my list, too. Yes. So, yeah, exactly.
That's
I wish it was
in there. You wish it was in there.
But yeah, you only get the 3 games, and it's almost like this is kind of like a, cocky kind of teaser that Nintendo's putting in your face to kind of say, well, this is what something could be or what's going to be coming, And hopefully something like this will be coming out in the future where they'll put together kind of like a best of with. Like kind of what they did with the Game Boy Advance and the old Game Boy ones. Although with the DS, you're getting probably 100% emulation because you have the 2 screens. I mean, you could say that the whole system was basically a upgrade to the old Game & Watch system. There was a lot of influence from those old Game & Watches to what the DS is today with the 2 screens.
Don't discard those Game & Watch games, man. I mean, I wasn't real big into them like a lot of people were.
I used to love those things.
I know a lot of people were. I was more into the LED games.
Yeah, well, me too. But
it seems like you kind of went like one way or the other back in those days. You either had the LED stuff or you went with the LCD stuff. But I was playing Greenhouse for like an hour the other day. Man, that's a fun game.
Yeah, this is really cool. And, like I said, they're already fetching a heavy pay on eBay. Now,
Man,
I'm hoping at some point, that they'll just release this here. It sounds like the 500 points that you need to get this was a lot of moolah too. I mean, I think you only get like maybe 5 points per certain games as it is. 5 and 10 points. So you're thinking somebody probably had bought like maybe 50 games just to have saved up for this thing. So. It's amazing. I think this is going to be one of the big rarities in terms of the DS. Forget Phoenix Wright. This is where the rareness is going to be, and I'm hoping somehow this gets out over here because I had a lot of fun with these. I used to love these little games. I never owned any actually, but a lot of my friends did. I used to play them all the time. I think my favorite was the Donkey Kong Jr. one. I used to love Donkey Kong Jr. I thought that was so cool.
Even I played that one. I didn't play a lot of them.
That seems to be the more common one, and that was just a lot of fun. I had a couple of them. I had the Burger Time one. I
never saw that one.
Oh my God, I still have it. It's so cool, man. It was awesome. I mean, it was a tiny little thing I could throw in my pocket. I mean, meanwhile at home I had my Coleco ones. I had my Miss Pac-Man, my Donkey Kong, my Tron, which is from Tomy. Tron was freaking bomb, man.
The bomb, dude.
And what was the Galaxy 2? Oh, I love that. By Epic. I don't know. And then the Defender one was fantastic by Entex.
Yeah.
But in terms of the LED ones, the only ones I have were the Burger Time, which, I tell you, man, that was just fantastic. I got to get you a picture and show you. And the D&D one. Mattel also.
I had the D&D one, dude. That was
Wasn't
awesome.
that cool? That thing was so
like
tiny.
$50 freaking bucks, though, man.
No, I got it for like $8.99 at KB.
Oh, dude! I remember when I wanted it was like $50.
Really? Well, that's probably why. That's probably why I never had them. They were pretty pricey. I think these things used to be like $30-$40, and for $50 you could get the full Blast Coleco ones. That looked like the freaking 8 arcade. And it was a little hard to go for the little LED ones. I think their big plus was that you could throw them in your pocket. I mean, the Dungeons and Dragons one, man, that was fun. And you could
that was way fun. Random mazes every time.
You could put that in your shoe. It was so small.
You could. I mean, yeah, you could prop up your kitchen table with it now.
And then we had the He-Man one, which is a clone of the D&D one.
Oh, really? I never saw the He-Man.
The He-Man one was the same as the Dungeons and Dragons one, except instead of like the little warrior guy, you had He-Man, and instead of the dragon, you had Skeletor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've never even seen one of those.
Yeah, it was really neat. I'll have to get you some pictures of it.
Yeah, I want pictures, dude. That's awesome.
But these things are a big collectible too these days. If you go on eBay and whatnot. Anyway, I'm hoping Nintendo releases this. It's a real big nostalgia trip.
We may have to lean on them a little bit. See if we can get our audience to start leaning on them. Come up with a petition or something. Do something.
Right. Now the thing is, the argument was that if they did release this collection, that would make this little 3 game set kind of worthless to a lot of people who saved up for it.
Right. Well, in that case, just release games that aren't on the 3 game collection.
Release different ones. Yeah, because I mean,
enough.
The 3 that are on here, except maybe for Donkey Kong. I mean, they were never my big fan. I was never a big fan of them anyway. The big ones I used to like were Donkey Kong Jr., which I already mentioned. There's just a Manhole, of course, Octopus. Boxing was kind of, but. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll get something over here. Throw us a bone, Nintendo. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it seems like
hook us up.
It seems like it would fit right at home on this system.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah. So we got one more news brief here.
Actually, 2, but there's one.
You got another
on the
one?
list. I got another one. Go ahead and do yours, and then I'll close up with mine.
All right. Well, it's nothing big. Wi-Fi seems to have been confirmed for the Yoshi Island 2. There was a box shot release this week of I guess the official box art for the Yoshi Island 2, and strangely enough, there was a Wi-Fi logo on the cover, which I think kind of surprised everybody. They're like, what's that going to involve? And I'm thinking maybe online mini games, which would be a blast.
More mini games, dude. Yeah. Online mini games.
Online mini games. I mean, how cool would it be?
Mario Party, damn it.
How cool would it be if New Super Mario Brothers mini games were online? I mean, that would be a blast.
Oh my God. Just color me out of the room now because I'm gone. I mean, you'll just never see me again. We'll never get a show done that way.
Well, we'll find out anyway what's going on with this. There's not a whole lot of information now. People are just kind of being caught off guard by that logo, much like the Final Fantasy III. That's going to be on Wi-Fi, and a lot of people aren't real sure what's going on there yet either. So,
hey, man, more Wi-Fi games, man. More Wi-Fi. Bring them on. The last item that I wanted to talk about was something that I just remembered that I wanted to talk about, but forgot to add it to the list. there have been a lot more pictures, some new pictures of Clubhouse Games, which is being released October 9th here in the United States. And as you know, we have been talking a lot about the import. I'm not even going to try to guess how to say the name. But there's been, Clubhouse Games is not a new game. It's been over in Japan. And I'm telling you, the new screens are absolutely incredible. They gave Clubhouse Games, gives the old version a complete facelift. It's insane. The dartboard looks like a real dartboard. I mean, the original one, the one in the Japanese version, looks good. This one looks incredible. The darts actually have like little feathers and stuff on them. I mean, it's like, wow.
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't like it looked bad before. But this is like a whole new facelift. Everything's got this deep, rich color to it. And there's more screenshots which show even more games that are being out there. There's 42 games in the collection. And one thing that I saw in this one that is not in the Japanese collection that I can find anyway is dominoes. So I think that they are going to replace some of the games. That was a question a lot of people had. Well,
sucks.
Are they going to give us the exact same games, or are we going to have different games? Because a lot of people want Go. That seems to be like...
I would love to check out Go and see what that's about.
Yeah, a lot of people want Go, and a lot of people are worried that Nintendo's going to pull Go for a more American-style game for the Clubhouse Games release. And we don't know for sure, but apparently there are some games that are being overhauled. Some of the other card games are things like Crazy Eights, Old Maid, Hearts, Spades. Those games are all still in there for sure. But Dominoes, Backgammon, the Backgammon board looks great. There's all of those games are still in there. So I'm hoping that the deviation from the Japanese version to the American version are very slight. Let us hope. And hopefully they'll throw in Camtasia or whatever that, Canasta, whatever that card game is, that solitary game. They've got Klondike in there.
That's what it's called, Canasta, I think.
Canasta. My wife
I don't know
loves
anything
that.
about it.
She plays that in Ultimate. You know what her game is? She plays Ultimate Card Games on her DS for the Game Boy Advance version.
Put it on the DS, yeah.
But she plays it on the DS, and I'm sitting here. I'm playing Klondike on the the Clubhouse Games, and I'm sitting here dragging my cards around, and she's like going, "Man, that looks a lot easier than mine." I'm going, "Yeah."
You think?
I'm just grabbing cards and flicking them around. So she's like totally dying to have a good card game, but she doesn't like Klondike. She likes that Canasta or whatever it is.
Now we just need a nice version of Strip Poker.
Oh, that'll ever happen.
Well, I had a really cool version of it. And I'll be honest with you, it was a really nice little version of the game itself. I mean, taking out the strip part, it was just a cool little poker game.
Yeah.
I had it on my my little Sony PDA. It was a lot of fun. I mean, just playing that was brought back a lot of memories from the Commodore.
Yeah, Strip Poker. With Melissa and what's
you know
her
what
name?
else? Oh, Susie.
Susie. That's right. We talked about this before, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, one thing we didn't bring up was the fact that recently EA has talked about how they're going to be they're disappointed more or less in what's going on with the PSP.
Dude, don't you just love that?
And they're going to concentrate more on the DS.
That just cracks me up, dude.
Well,
because
the thing that cracks me up the most is how they said that we've discovered that gamers are looking for fun. I mean,
we've got to post a link to that, dude.
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. What if you just realized that now? What were you thinking they wanted before?
Yeah, what were you giving them before?
What do you think people play these games for? Hello, fun. They want to enjoy themselves. They don't buy your stupid, Madden because they say, oh wow, I'm getting Madden. I don't like football, but the graphics are incredible. I'm just going to buy it and leave it on my rack.
Right.
So I mean, people want to play and have fun with these games. So I don't know what the story is there. I really can't figure it out. But
that's such a great story because it hits on so many fronts. One, because the Sony PSP was like, oh, we're gonna bury Nintendo and we're gonna put them into the ground and grown-up handheld gaming is here, blah blah blah, and they are still losing.
Well, there's a lot of people that just want Nintendo to go down the tubes. They want them to die for some reason. I don't know what it is.
I don't know either. It's like and then it's like people want to watch movies on the go. Well, their UMD format failed. So it's like total vindication. And then you take like the largest game developer on the planet, which is Electronic Arts, and they're basically saying, we don't like what Sony's doing, so we're going to develop for the DS now. It's like ultimate vindication. It's always like, it's like these format wars, like the old 64 versus Atari and Amiga versus PC and
Amiga versus the Apple IIGS or something.
Right. I mean, it's like these old format wars are back. It's like you can't back both of them. It's like you have to pick. Either you're for the PSP and you hate the DS, or you love the DS and hate the PSP.
I'll be honest, dude. I go where the games are. I mean, originally out of the bat, I traded in one of my old. I had numerous old PlayStations, and I traded one of them in for the PS2. You know, and I bought a couple games for it, and there was just nothing out at the time that was really interesting to me. This was back when it earlier came out, when it was a little cheaper. It came down its first price drop. I think it was $199. You know, and then my brother got an Xbox, and then I ended up selling my PS2, and I got an Xbox because I was really digging Halo and a couple of the other games. Now it's crazy. I'm back on the PS2, and I'm bored to death with the Xbox. There's really been nothing good for the Xbox.
It's funny how the circle gets complete.
And it has nothing to do with what system's better. I mean, I do think it's cool that the Xbox has the hard drive built in, which means I don't need memory cards for the save games. But, you know, there's so many neat games on the PS2 that I've missed out on now.
They definitely got the game share, that's to be sure.
Yeah, they've got the third-party support, and this is a prime instance of where gaming in Japan does matter to us in the U.S. I mean, I'm looking at all these games, and I'm thinking, you know, sure, there's quite a few of them from America that are certified hits. I mean, you know, Champions of Neurath and God of War, but then you got the Japanese side, you know, where you got things like, you know, this Devil May Cry 3 and Shadow of the Colossus, you know, and some of these games that, you know, if it wasn't for the Japanese infusion, we wouldn't have over here, you know.
Yeah, I mean you'd have Halo and Halo 2 and Halo 3 and
But I think
Son
that's
of
one
Halo.
of the problems. One of the problems with the Xbox was it didn't really have much Japanese support. You know, I mean, it had
like none.
It had Ninja Gaiden, which was a big hit. Ninja Gaiden, however you want to say it. It had Sega supported it with like Panzer Dragoon, which kind of bombed. I mean, you know, they put out these titles, nobody bought them. You know, because it was. That's probably one of the reasons the Xbox bombing in Japan. But anyway, I don't understand the big draw. If you can afford it, why not go for it? Personally, I'm set and fine with my DS. I have about almost 50 games for my DS. If I bought a PSP right now today, and I have no problem with the system, I would only probably be buying maybe 5 games at the most. And what's scary is, of those 5 games, I think 2 or 3 of them would be the classic compilation games.
Right.
So, I mean, like the Namco and the Capcom stuff.
Right.
You know, it wouldn't even be for like Grand Theft Auto or something stupid like that. I have no interest in the games on the system.
Yeah,
Not to mention,
I've got a PS2. I mean, most of the games that are there, I can play at home.
Right.
You know, I mean, okay, so you can play them on the go. I don't know. I mean, I guess I just
the games
played
are
Grand
totally
Theft Auto.
different, though. The
it
games
is.
are totally different. I mean, I've been playing the PS2, and I'm saying to myself, okay, see, this experience is a totally different experience than what I'm getting on my DS in terms of portability and just playability in the types of games.
Absolutely.
And when you bring that over to the PSP, it just doesn't work. I mean, most of these games like God of War, and I mean, you could play them on the go, but for some reason they just don't seem to like they'd be as fun. I don't know what it is.
I don't know, but
I'd rather play it on my Progressive Scan 37-inch LCD TV.
Damn Skippy, buddy. I want that Dolby. You know, I want Dolby Digital.
Right. Much like I don't want to play something like Game & Watch Collection. I wouldn't want to play that on the TV. I'd rather play it on something like the DS.
Well, yeah.
Or Magnetica.
It's a matter of properly targeting games for the platform. And, you know, when it comes to handheld stuff, one, Nintendo knows what the hell they're doing. They've owned the handheld market for 20 years. And they have a good grasp on what do people want to play on the go. People, you know, obviously, people don't want to play God of War on the go. They want to play Tetris. They want to play Bejeweled. They want to play the kind of crap that they play on their cell phones poorly. They want to play the kind of crap they play on the web with an internet connection. You know, they want to play the same sort of Twitch gaming that they're already playing on other devices and in other environments.
Environments, yes.
Yeah, you know, and people are like, you know, if I'm going to play Grand Theft Auto, you know, I want to play it, like you said, with the giant TV. I want to be able to see the blood shooting around to the guy's head. I don't know. Whatever. Moot point. I just thought it was complete vindication that EA basically said, okay, we decided the PSP sucks. People want games that are fun, and we're going to support the DS. I'm going, damn, that's like the Octoburn. You know, there's like 8 burns in one press release.
I have no idea. I mean, the guy's basically I don't have the exact quote in front of me, and I should dig it up real quick. But the way the quote went was, it's almost like they're kicking themselves in the teeth because he's basically saying that his own company doesn't produce anything fun or enjoyable. You know,
it's great.
I think he's kind of basically saying that everybody's a graphics whore, and that's what they want. Everybody just wants better graphics, and they don't care what the game is.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, hello, who said that? You know, I mean, I guess a lot of the kids nowadays, that's what they want. But last I checked, that's not what everybody wants. I mean, I've played plenty of games that had beautiful graphics and have sucked.
All right.
You know, and I don't know. It's just it's insane. It really is.
It's funny though.
But the thing is,
it's good radio.
With the stuff that EA has produced for the DS so far, you know, it's been terrible. I mean, the only game they've put out that's been decent was FIFA 06. So I'm hoping maybe they'll actually crack down and produce something enjoyable.
Madden 07 will be the first departure. I'm not holding my breath, but maybe.
No, because you know what? It's been in development for probably a little while now, so they haven't reached that cutoff point to where this guy just broke this big story.
Maybe Need for Speed Carbon will show us something different. I don't think so, though. We'll see.
Maybe Need for Speed Fun Edition.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Need for Speed, the actual fun version you've always wanted.
The edition where EA has learned that people actually want to enjoy a game.
Dude, that is way funny. We got to start a campaign like
that.
Yeah,
I mean, EA, just ever since Trip left, it's been downhill.
Hey, anybody like out in our listener audience that's like good with like Photoshop or Paint Shop Pro or something, and you guys want to make us some spoof boxes of EA games that are part of their new fun collection? Dude, go wild on this. We'll post them on the site, dude. I totally would love to see that. The EA Fun Collection. You guys go wild.
EA Fun Collection. That's
Dude,
great.
That is awesome, man. Anyway, that pretty much sums it up for Touch and Go. So let's move on to the mail sack, one of our favorite
mail sack.
The mail sack. Okay, well, moving on to our mail sack segment. I guess I get to read it this episode. I guess Chris got it last time. Mail sack is our listener emails. We get a whole bunch of those in. So once a show, we're going to pick one that particularly either plays to our particular egos or it's just a good letter. This one's great. This one works on all levels. They kiss our ass a little bit. They talk bad about stuff we don't like, and yeah. So here we go. This one's from Laurel O'Brien. He submits, or I guess that could be a girl, right? Laurel's a girl's name as well, right?
I think. I'm not positive.
Yeah. Well,
most likely it's. I'm sure it's probably a guy.
I think so too.
Giving the one of the titles anyway he was given.
That's right. So that's probably true. These androgynous names, dude. I don't know. Okay, he writes, "Hey guys, your show was the one thing that saved my sanity last week. A 6-hour drive birthday trip to San Francisco was filled with a show or two and some excellent games you recommended. Passed up Big Brain and bought Magnetica. Anyway, I had my birthday dinner at IHOP because my sister wanted to eat there. So I opened my presents. 2 packages that were shaped like DS games were a promising sight. Too bad my parents don't listen to your show. Guess what they were? No, guess, really. Elf Bowling 1 and 2 and Greg Something's Paintball Crap." Is that the greatest title ever? I want someone to doctor up a box that says that. Greg Something.
Isn't that what it's called anyway?
I think that's what it's called, actually.
Yeah, I think that's actually what it's called.
That's great. So, yeah, I love your show, and you guys have really got me hooked on the DS. The show is helpful and hilarious. Keep them coming. Sincerely, Laurel. P.S. Mansack is ingenious, and I'll be honest, that's totally Chris's thing.
Yes,
Chris came up with the Mansack, and that is by far the best title we could have ever, or the Mail Sack, rather. I'm sorry. He said, Laurel said, P.S. Mail Sack is ingenious. I think I might have said Mansack. Mail Sack. I'm sorry. What can I tell you? I've got a one-track mind.
Yes, Mansack is not ingenious, actually.
Yeah, Mansack is, yeah.
We don't go that way.
We don't go that way. But Mail Sack is ingenious, and Laurel's quite right, and Chris deserves all the credit for that. So that's it.
Thanks for the props.
Yeah, not a problem, dude. Credit where credit's due. So be sure to write us. Let us know what you think of the show. You know, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, preferably what we're doing right. And maybe you get your letter read on the air. Who knows? Speaking of which, if you want to go to our website, which I don't think I've plugged in like an hour and a half, so we better get that in there.
We've been laxing in the plugs. We've already been chastised about that.
I planned to do like every 5 minutes I was going to plug the site, but apparently that didn't work out.
www.dualscreenradio.com.
There you go. I want to get a button that just says that over and over again.
www.dualscreenradio.com.
There you go. Just to make sure that you don't get, make sure you don't get lost. It's www.dualscreenradio.com. I hope they can hear the whisper when the show is recoded, dude, because that was classic. Anyway, so if you go to dualscreenradio.com, you can submit us email there. You can also go to our message forums, which is a huge community of both classic gamers and Nintendo DS gamers. Huge community. You've got new members coming in like rats every single day. It's just a flow of new users. I don't know, for some reason I was thinking of rats, and
You just called the community of users rats.
But I meant it in a loving expression. It was it's a term of endearment. I know you've probably never heard rats used as a term of endearment, but in this case it is. Anyway, speaking of the website, we're always trying to improve our users' experience. And let's be honest, you've seen that we haven't had a show in a month. Don't think that there's not a lot of work that's been going on the site either, because if too busy to record the show doesn't necessarily mean we're too busy to work on the website. They're two different needs altogether. What I've been doing with the website, though, mostly has to do with back-end stuff, helping Chris and I keep the database up to date. I did a great little piece of work the other day. We like to go by GameStop schedule since they're like the biggest retailer, dedicated retail of gaming, and we figure if anybody has a good beat on release dates, it's GameStop.
I would hope so.
We like to bring up our database and also bring up GameStop, and we like to look and make sure that our release dates are kept up to date. Well, the problem is GameStop's site sucks. You can only view like 10 items at a time. You have to paginate or paginate, however you say that, through all the different pages. It's a real pain in the butt to actually go and sync up our database with GameStop. There's all the ads and all that other crap. So I spent a couple hours the other night writing an HTML scraping routine where it actually goes in, sees how many pages of DS stuff there is coming up, takes it all and reads it all in and strips out all of their crap and puts it into a nice big page so that we don't have to paginate or paginate or whatever through all the different pages.
It's quite an achievement.
It
actually
it's
really cool.
is. The problem is if they change a single byte of that website, it's not going to work anymore, but at least I've got the core code.
The nerve of them.
The nerve of them to not let me scrape their HTML. But in any event, so that's going to help us a lot. In fact, I managed to get through all 10 pages last night and make sure all of our dates were up to date. I added like 3 new games that popped up. So it's pretty cool. It's going to give us a lot more power. And we're working on all sorts of little things on the back end to help us do that. Now, on the front end, our next goal is to get a little more user contribution into the community. We'd like to think of Dual Screen Radio as not just a radio show, but a culmination of a website and forums, discussion forums that bring together a community. The website should be useful to the individual. The community should be useful to the group. And then, of course, the radio show is a one-way entertainment vassal into the DS. So we're trying to make this trifecta of Nintendo DS here. And so with the website, a lot of people have said, we'd like to be able to contribute. We'd like to know, we appreciate your opinions, Shane and Chris, but we'd like to know what other people may have thought of Elf Bowling. Maybe it's not as bad as you guys say. You just hate Elf Bowling, which you'll find out soon is not true. But we'd like to be able to let other people contribute their own little mini reviews to the games, be able to notify us if we've got errors in our text. I mean, we don't get to play every game. So a lot of times we don't know if
especially some of the imports. Some of the import stuff, especially if you guys in the one thread where we suggest you just let us know what kind of import games you want to see added to the database so you can complete your collection. If you could also just give us anything. I mean, if it has a demo, what kind of multiplayer it has, in terms of is it online? How many players can you do? Can you do single card? Any of that information would be awesome. The more the better. I mean, I went through and added. I've been running behind on that, so I added 3 imports that a couple of our users who are big import fans have put into the thread itself. I added them on there. The problem is, though, I really don't have a whole lot of information in terms of what's contained on these games in terms of features. So, I got the basic stuff on there: release dates, the artwork. I've got the genre, the title, the make of the company, and everything else, but I need some of these smaller things to be added in there. How much touchscreen support does it have? Yada, yada, yada. So anytime you guys suggest something, the more the merrier. Bring it on.
And
just make things a little more.
We do understand that in order to get people to contribute this information, we have to make it as brain dead, easy as possible. We know a lot of people, if you have to go to the site, pull up the contact form, fill in all your crap, people aren't going to be easy to do that. I mean, we understand that's asking a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a system where you can go to an entry in the database right on the web page, click something, have a form pop up. that's pre-filled with as much crap as possible. You don't have to type in the name of the game. You don't have to type in anything. There'll be drop downs. It's, sort of like a quick user feedback that gets delivered straight to us, and then we can take care of it. And I think that once we get that online, I think everyone will be a little more eager to contribute. So
yeah, that's
our
cool
next
stuff.
step is to get that happening. So that's about it, folks. The one other thing that I wanted to mention too was we've upgraded to a new version of our forums that has even more cool features, and we also have feeds coming in from the DualScreenRadio.com site and the actual show's media casting server, so that anytime we post news or a new show gets posted, it's automatically dropped into one of our forums on the forum site. So you'll be able to, if you don't go to the webpage, shame on you, or you don't want to subscribe to the RSS feed or whatever, and you're just a forum dweller, you'll be able to see in the forum when something new hits our websites or a new show comes out. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Nice.
All
I
right.
like that. That sounds good.
That's a cool thing.
And then one other thing, real quick, if I may, and
Yes, please.
This is not a dig against anybody. It's just a suggestion, and
Nice.
I think it's
Here it
good for
comes.
the forum. And anytime you guys find any kind of news that any kind of updates, I mean, we think it's great that everybody's kind of contributing, and we're all one big community, because it's nice that everybody can find something that somebody else has missed, and let everybody else know what's going on about that particular game. If you could just try to see if you can do a search and find the original thread that a game may already have. A lot of the big games out there, especially something like Castlevania or Star Fox or Elite Beat Agents, for instance, that's going to be coming out in the next couple of months, Final Fantasy III. Most of these games, if it's popular enough, have a thread already. So if you have anything new to add to the game, like maybe screenshots, news, information, yada, 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 especially video, which, we know how we are about video on the DS.
Absolutely.
Anything like that, please do a search before you actually make a thread. That way we don't have like 5 different Castlevania Portrait of Ruin threads, or 5 different Elite Beat Agent threads, or like recently I think we had like 3 Conductor threads, So let's just keep everything nice and together in one thread. That's why a lot of times I'll make a thread. If I get a game and I don't see it, I'll make like the official like True Swing Golf thread, which I still see pop up. Flair was just posting it recently about it, because he just kind of jumped on the bandwagon, even though I made the thread back in January.
Yeah, so that's cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that way everything's contained in one nice centralized area.
You don't have
and we
to
can
go searching for that stuff.
Right. So just do a search. All you have to do is at the top of the forum, it's got a search. You hit that little pull-down menu comes up. You type in Castlevania or Portrait of Ruin or what have you, and it'll take you probably right to the thread, the most recent thread with all the information. Just plop a link in there and just hit the update, If a game doesn't have anything, or there's something drastic to add, just go ahead and create your own thread. But
Yeah,
I know me and Flair, I know Flair's been doing it too. We've been trying to merge a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's all nice and easy to come by. It's just so everybody knows where it is. We don't have to do a lot of running around, and everything doesn't look a little haphazard.
That's right.
That's
and the new,
pretty much all I want to say.
The new version of the forums actually has a new advanced search, too, that lets you search both threads and posts. So that may even give you even more information. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, that's going to wrap it up, folks. I think we have a nice long show here for you already, and we need to get this guy out.
Sorry about the lateness of the show, but
yeah, we'll give you.
Hopefully
we'll have
be
to tell
all
you
back
story
on track.
time. Hey, that could be our story time next time. Is what we went through to get this last show out. My God, exciting stuff.
That was a mess. I mean,
It
we
was
had some
truly
technical
a mess.
problems, and
People
hopefully
problems,
everybody appreciates it.
timing
Yeah, people problems.
My God, every possible problem. This show should have never ever happened, man.
This was a jinxed show.
This was a jinxed show. Hopefully, this wasn't our 13th show, was it, by chance? Dude, I think it was.
It's kind of creepy. I think
That's
it may
really
have been.
creepy. It is our 13th show. Ugh. All right, folks.
Oh, wait, that's a Halloween theme. What am I
You're
saying?
right. That's funny, but you know what?
www.dualscreenradio.com.
Yeah, DualScreenRadio.com.
www.dualscreenradio.com.
Yes. The first couple of sounds that you made from Halloween, I knew exactly what it was that you were doing. That's creepy. Get that Linda Blair one. Oh, he just wanted his machete back. All right, folks. This is Shane R. Monroe.
And this is Cruz Angel.
And
This is George Takei.
This is George Takei. It rhymes
Signing
with
off.
okay. Saying listening is good. Yeah.
Fire apart.
Take care, guys.